You can handle it. It's your committee. We'll call to order the Douglasville City Council Legislative Work Session for tonight, which is Thursday, February the 16th, 2023. Our invocation will be done by Pastor Joshua Nelson of the New Jerusalem Seventh-day Adventist Praise and Worship Center. After that, we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by the Mayor Pro Tem City Council Member Terry Miller. Please stand for the invocation.
Thank you. I'm glad you made that correction. It is Worship Center. I appreciate that, yes. Let us bow our heads for prayer. Father in heaven, God, we are thankful to be in your presence. As we have come together here tonight, we give you glory and honor to your name. And we pray, God, over each elected official, our leadership, our mayor, that you will bless them with wisdom and courage this evening. We pray that you would lead this, our great city and county. And we also ask for forgiveness in areas that we have tried to lead without you. For you did say that nothing can succeed unless we place our plans in your hands. So lead, God. Send your spirit into this place in a mighty way and direct us so that we may be the city that you want us to be. We thank you, we love you, and in the matchless name of Jesus we pray. Amen and amen.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem, for leading us in the pledge. And Pastor Nielsen, we appreciate you coming and offering up the invocation. And it's a workshop for the worship in the center of God, you know. So thank you so much for that. We do have announcements and presentations tonight. We have a presentation by myself to the Keep Douglasville Beautiful Executive Director, Ms. Chan Weeks, a proclamation recognizing Friday, February the 17th, 2023 as Arbor Day 2023 in the city of Douglasville. And I will read the proclamation. Ms. Weeks, we just saw each other at the chestnut tree thing. So you're getting all over the place. But I will read the proclamation and then we'll have you come forward and then you can have a few words if you like, and then we'll take a photo. And I'd like to congratulate you also. I don't know if you heard about the Keep Douglasville Beautiful and Keep America Beautiful, Keep Georgia Beautiful. Have you gotten that letter? Isn't that exciting? Yes, and so we'll have you talk about that if you like to as well. But it says, Office of the Mayor, Rochelle Robinson, proclamation, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, lower our heating and cooling cost, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. Whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our county. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Rochelle Robinson, Mayor of the City of Douglasville, and the Douglasville City Council do hereby proclaim Friday, February the 17th, 2023 as Arbor Day in the city of Douglasville. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And I further encourage all citizens to plant and care for trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of this future and the future generations to come. So proclaim the 16th day of February 2023. Please come forward, Ms. Chan Weeks, our Executive Director of Keep Douglasville Beautiful, and talk to us about trees. I know we planted, how many years ago, those trees at Douglas County High School?
Planted 63 trees, and that was in 2020.
2021?
2020.
They look
Zero.
fabulous. It's just 3 years later, and those trees are really blooming. So go ahead and talk to us about Arbor Day.
So Arbor Day in the state of Georgia is tomorrow. It's always the third Friday of February, so we are happy to be celebrating that. We will have an event tomorrow at Hunter Park. The Parks Department is hosting. Thank you, Mr. Bass, for helping coordinate that. But it will be at 2 o'clock at the baseball fields back there in the back of Hunter Park. So we'd love for everybody to come. We are going to be looking at 13 trees that we planted just a few weeks ago as part of a shade plan for the park. As you know, if you go and watch a baseball game, you end up sitting, there's usually tournaments, and you end up being out there all day long in the hot sun. So we want to provide some shade for, the patrons and the fans that come and the teams that are playing. And what better way to do that than plant some trees? So we hope that you all can join us tomorrow at 2 o'clock and help us celebrate Arbor Day.
That's very exciting. We look forward to coming tomorrow to celebrate Arbor Day with you. And that's going to be a blessing for Hunter Park. My son used to play baseball, and it was hot out there. So we're excited about that. Could you tell the audience, or the viewing audience, about the Keep Douglasville Beautiful award that we received from the state of Georgia and the Keep America Beautiful Foundation?
So I believe the one you're referring to is our one from Keep Georgia Beautiful that we recently received, our President's Circle Award, I believe.
Was it President's Circle Award City Manager? It had Keep America and Keep Georgia Beautiful.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
So we're happy to receive that. That is something that we strive for every year to get, and we have not missed a year yet. So by doing the beautification projects and litter abatement and the tree projects, everything that we do that helps to get us that status each year and get the award of being in the President's Circle. So.
I know, that was great. And that first line said, we cleaned 553 streets, council members, that those volunteers we gave proclamations to a couple of weeks ago cleaned up 553 streets in the city of Douglasville. That's great.
And we can always use more volunteers and
I
help with
know.
more streets. So
And we don't know how many trees we planted.
how many trees over last year? I do not.
Yes, ma'am.
Not often.
It's okay, it's okay. But anyway, anyone will have anything to say before we come around to Ms. Weeks and give her this proclamation? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm just looking forward to once we establish a new city park in Ward 1 that will have Arbor Day festivities in Arbor Station.
Very nice.
Arbor Station, Arbor, that's, boom, boom, psh. Okay, let's go around and have a picture with Ms. Weeks and give her a hand as she's done great work and keep Douglasville beautiful.
All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. And we also have a proclamation for myself for the Mayor's Reading Club program offered by Georgia City Solutions, promoting partnership and collaboration between the city, counties, and county schools, libraries, local nonprofits, and the business community to improve the literacy skills and overall success, which early reading among children and youth in Georgia cities throughout encouragement, support, leadership for the city mayors. And so I'll read this this to celebrate the Mayor's Reading Club, which we are a part of. It says, whereas literacy is not just an educational issue, it is economic, workforce, and quality of life issues. And whereas research shows that children who can't read proficiently by the end of the third grade are more likely to experience poor health, have discipline problems, and drop out of high school. And whereas each year in the United States, low literacy levels are linked to hundreds of billions of dollars in non-productivity, healthcare, and judicial cost. And whereas 74% of Georgia fourth graders do not read proficiently, and collaborative efforts and strategies and strategic partnerships must be undertaken to address literacy issues in the state of Georgia. Whereas the Mayor's Reading Club program is offered through Georgia City Solutions, a Georgia Municipal Association nonprofit, and whereas the goal of the program is to improve literacy skills and overall success with early reading among children and youth in Georgia cities through encouragement, support, and leadership from the city mayors. And whereas the Mayor's Reading Club is flexible and can be delivered in person or virtually and promotes partnership and collaboration between the city, county, schools, public libraries, local nonprofits, and business communities. Now therefore, I, Rochelle Robinson, Mayor of the City of Douglasville, and on behalf of the Douglasville City Council and the citizens of the city, do hereby join the Mayor's Reading Club program and encourage all residents, businesses, and community partners to help promote and alleviate literacy as a community priority and support the Mayor's Reading Club to improve Georgia's economic vitality, one book at a time. That's a whole lot of talking. So proclaimed the 16th day of February 2023. And who do I give this to, City Manager? Our communications, Miss Emily. Since you have Douglasville Junior, and she helps me when I go to the schools and read to the kiddies, you want to talk anything about, I know I put you on the spot, Miss Emily. If you want to talk and say anything, her or Miss Jackson, about our reading programs. I know I'm supposed to go to the library to read in this the Mayor's Reading Club, and go to the Douglasville Library on Selman Drive at story time and read to the kids there.
Yes, ma'am. So this is a program that's through an arm of GMA. And so, so it's just an opportunity for you to partner with libraries or the public school system and go into take part in some of their reading programs that they have. The Douglas County Library, they have a preschool story time that the mayor will be reading at in the near future, and maybe going to some schools or maybe do a video of the mayor reading. And so it's just to help promote literacy in the city of Douglasville.
Yes, ma'am. And we have to tell the viewing audience and whomever about our little libraries that we have all over the city.
Yes, ma'am. So we have, I believe we have one at Hunter Park. And then we also have one out here on O'Neill Plaza that's kind of in the little breezeway. And I think there's also, is there also? At Mill
Jesse
Village,
Davis.
yes.
And Jesse Davis Park.
And Jesse Davis. And so these are just little lending libraries that are in the community for people to go and be able to get some books and encourage reading.
Yes, ma'am. So you can pick up a book or leave a book in
That's
those
right.
little mini libraries all over the city.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you so much. You want to, I know you're the picture taker. What do you want to do?
Chelsea.
Miss Chelsea's going to
can
take it
the
for you?
picture.
Okay. If you all don't mind coming around, please, and take this picture with Miss Emily.
Alrighty, I'll get a few. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for those proclamations and presentations. Now we will do the protocol for the meeting, and then we'll jump right into the agenda that is printed outside, or you can follow us along on the screen. I'd like to welcome you to this Douglasville City Council Legislative Work Session. My name is Rochelle Robinson. I'm mayor of the city of Douglasville. This is a city council work session where business will not be conducted tonight. We'll gather information, and we'll have this information at this work session to help us make our decisions on our council meeting next week. If the business you're here for is not listed as an agenda item, there will be ample time under the agenda item comments from citizens and delegates for you to discuss your business. I'll just go briefly go over some protocol issues, and if you have any questions, you can raise those at this after that. I'd like to welcome you to this meeting. If the comments and presentations that you're dealing with are important for this governing body to make our decisions, we will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be of an attack on any individual or group of individuals. Only one person speaking at a time. When you come to the podium, please give us your name and address for the record, and address all of your concerns and comments to the chairperson. So the committee chairperson will read the agenda item. Then that person, a representative of that agenda item or applicant, will make his or her presentation. Myself and council members will possibly ask clarifying questions to help us make our decision next week. After that, the committee chairperson will ask for comments or statements from the audience. Now, there is a time frame for that. We have 20 minutes for those in favor of the item and 20 minutes for those in opposition, and each person has 5 minutes. If you have a lot of people, then you can split up your time, 3 minutes or so. But in totality, you have 20 minutes for and 20 minutes in opposition. Each person has one opportunity to speak on the agenda item. And prior to coming to the podium, we ask that you would please fill out a speaker card and hand that speaker card to our Assistant City Clerk, Ms. Candace James. And once you get to the podium, again, give your name and address. This is not a question and answer format or debate. We're really here just to hear the information, deliberate, and make our decision next week. If you have anything that's printed or that you would like to give us copies of, please hand that to our Assistant City Clerk. She will make copies and disseminate that information to us so that it'll help us make our decisions next week. So hopefully you've gotten all the information and protocol, and we know how the meeting is going to go now. And there are printed copies outside on the desk, and or you can follow us on the screen with our agenda. So we'll jump right into the agenda now. So the first committee is Economic Development Committee, and that's chaired by Mayor Pro Tem, Councilmember Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, we do
You're
have
welcome.
one item under the Economic Development Committee tonight,
Yes, sir.
and that is to adopt a resolution to authorize the termination of bond documents and to execute the Taxable Industrial Development Revenue Bond, JHO-GA-1 Investment LLC Project, Series 2020 termination of bond documents and payment of annual administration fee. Chris Pumphrey is going to explain to us why this is not an ordinary issue.
Okay.
Sir, good evening,
Good
Madam Mayor
evening.
and City Council. I'm glad to be in front of you this evening, but not the greatest news to be in front of you with. Chris Pumphrey, Elevate Douglas Economic Partnership, 8512 Bowden Street. What this, in essence, is saying is, if you recall, a couple years ago, we had a festive announcement with Bang Energy, who had chosen Douglasville and selected 7705 Staples Drive, or I think it has a couple of addresses, 101 Keurig Way, that they had chosen that facility to manufacture their energy drink, and all the canning is going to create 600 jobs, paying $25 an hour. Fast forward a couple of years, they filed for bankruptcy and have chosen to cancel this project. They are not out of business, but they are not moving forward on this project. So I think the most that they had done is hired a handful of people and had moved in a lot of their beverages and some equipment, but they are canceling, they have canceled that project. And so in order to administer a property tax incentive plan, it has to go through a bond for title process. And that's in essence what we have before you today, is the termination of that bond on the property. The property technically went into the bond program spring of '21, which makes it technically 2022 was the first year that they would have been on a property tax incentive plan. So in that year that they went on the plan was the year that they also canceled the project. And so it's just been a number of months of trying to work with them to unwind this. And so we are finally unwinding that project. They are obligated to pay all of the taxes, so they do have a tax bill. The tax commissioner is very aware of that they have to pay for 2022. They paid their 2021 taxes, but they have to pay their 2022 taxes. And so in order to ensure that we do not further the incentive plan, we need to terminate it. And so the City of Douglasville Development Authority voted on Tuesday to terminate that plan, terminate the bond, and all of the agreements that are in place, and we are bringing that before you all this evening for your termination of that agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Pumphrey. My understanding is that there was, one of the big issues alleged was that their distribution deal with PepsiCo fell through. Is that not right?
Yeah, there's a huge issue with PepsiCo. I think there's some lawsuits and things floating
Yeah,
around with
I
that.
didn't want to
so,
mention those, but
yeah.
always be careful when lawsuits are mentioned.
Mhm.
Does council or mayor have any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to question Mr. Pumphrey. Chris, is there any liability on behalf of the city other than we've lost revenue, or the county has lost revenue for that year, but because we had given them a tax incentive deal, and now that we've canceled that, they will be obligated, I'm assuming through the bankruptcy court, to pay the property taxes that would have been due?
Yeah,
Is
no.
that basically it?
Yeah, no liabilities there. They were still scheduled to pay taxes on that asset, but they actually, for a few reasons, they actually have a full year's tax bill for 2022 that they have to
Okay.
pay.
So there's
So
no
revenue-
negative ramifications as far as the city's concerned?
No revenue
Other than that,
loss.
we've lost that business?
Yeah, lost that business for the future.
I understand.
We are actively working with another business right now who is looking at that building, and part of their due diligence in focusing on that is the unwinding of this bond.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Adams. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, if there's no objection, I'd like to put this item on the consent agenda for Monday. Okay, so done. Madam Mayor, that's all we have under the Economic Development Committee tonight. Thank you, Mr. Pumphrey.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, and thank you again, Mr. Pumphrey, the CEO of Elevate Douglas and Development Authority. We'll move on then to Finance Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight under finance.
Thank you, sir. Housing and Community Affairs Committee, chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Burdanley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Legislative and Intergovernmental Committee, chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
Yes, ma'am. No business tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman Davis. Personnel and Organization Committee, Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight in personnel and organization.
Thank you so much, Councilman Watts. All right, got to take a breath. Councilmember Adams, Planning and Development Committee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yes, sir.
We have several items tonight. Under Planning and Development, we will start with the first item, a reappointment of Ms. Elaine Penley Sears to the Historic Preservation Commission for a 3-year term expiring January 31st, 2026. Ms. Jackson.
Thank you, Councilman Adams. Chelsea Jackson, 6695 Church Street. As Councilman Adams has read, Ms. Elaine Penley Sears would like to be reappointed to the Historic Preservation Commission for a 3-year term. She's served for about 2 terms currently, and she wants to continue. She's retired, so she enjoys serving on the Historic Preservation Commission, and there are no other individuals interested in serving on this board at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Did you say she had retired? Is that what you said?
Yes.
It's funny, I went to see her yesterday.
Somebody else cut your hair?
No, ma'am. I was in her shop yesterday.
Well, I guess in the workforce, she told me she retired. When we were looking for resumes,
I
she stated
understand.
that she didn't
There you
have
are.
an up-to-date
Yes,
resume because she no longer is in the workforce.
I understand. Okay. Well, she is definitely still in the same location, still resides at the same home. So I don't think we have an issue with that, but I guess she was just too busy to come up with the updated information. Questions, comments concerning this reappointment? Ms. Jackson, do you have any other information? You said there's no one else that had shown an interest in serving in that position?
No, sir, there's no one
And
else.
she does desire to be reappointed. Okay. I see no reason why we cannot place this item on the consent agenda. All in agreement? Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. We'll do that then. Item B. Item B was tabled from February 6, 2023. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for variance from Section 3.07B of the Unified Development Ordinance to reduce the minimum square footage for a three-bedroom multifamily unit from 1,500 square feet to 1,200 square feet on approximately 53.846 acres at Lee Road, land lot 719, 720, 721, 722, District 18, Section 2. Parcel number is 0719-182-0005. Application by Novo Sweetwater Owner LLC, care of Parks Huff and Mike Griffin. Ms. Reed.
Thank you. Shayla Reed, Community Development Director, 6701 Church Street. Giving an opportunity to present this, I wanted to remind you that this was an applicant who was on the previous agenda, but we had to have an opportunity to give for them to have their full team here. So with that, I start my presentation to you. They are requesting, wait, this is, sorry, not the same PowerPoint. Sorry about that. I'll continue. With that, the applicant is requesting to have an apartment complex with a three-bedroom unit. The three-bedroom units, by what staff is requiring of them, they are, per the ordinance, required to have 1,500 square feet. They're asking for a reduction in that, and with that, staff received an application from them to have a administrative variance. In that administrative variance, they provided that they wanted to see a reduction in their three-bedroom, which serves at about 30 units out of the 300. With that, staff found that that was not something that we would be able to provide to them per the hardship that they provided. They provided that they did not have topography issues. They had topography issues, they say, but then they still gave us an opportunity to see the development carry out. So with that, staff recommended denial of their administrative variance. And so with that, we move forward with, the PowerPoint is not okay. So with that, staff recommended denial of it, and we still have the same assessment to move forward.
So you had an application for an administrative variance which was denied, and so it's now being brought forward to the full council and mayor.
Correct. So the
Okay.
process would be, if an administrative variance is denied by staff, they have two options. They can appeal the administrative variance, or they can go about requesting it directly to council.
Okay.
And the applicant is present if you have any project-specific questions.
Sure. If the applicant would like to come forward, give us your name and address for the record, please. Please, we would love to hear from you. Please understand that our mayor has already given us the time constraints. I'm sorry. Already given us the time constraints as to those that you're under, and I'm assuming that our assistant city clerk will be keeping up with the time, correct? All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here.
Mayor and council members, hi, I'm Connor
evening.
McNally. I'm a principal with Shelton McNally Real Estate Partners. We're the developer of the project, and I'm at 999 Peachtree Street, Northeast Atlanta, Georgia. Shayla was trying to bring up, we had a PowerPoint that we had submitted to try to walk you through this. I think she's trying to bring it up, but in the spirit of time, maybe I'll start. I know you have nothing visual.
Go right ahead.
Okay.
Sure, you're fine.
So, and again, we appreciate everyone's, time to hear us out on this today. I think we see three reasons why, first, let me sort of refocus us on what it is we're asking for today. In the city code, there is a requirement, a minimum square footage requirement for units in a multifamily community for 1s, 2s, and 3s. Our 1-bedrooms and our 2-bedrooms comply with that, but our 3-bedroom units are 1,248 square feet, and the required minimum in the code is 1,500 square feet. So we are requesting a variance technically to go down to 1,248 square feet instead of 1,500 square feet. That request only applies to 10% of our units, so the community is 300 units, and 10% of those units are 3-bedrooms. And so the difference in square footage between what the code is requiring and what we are actually building is only about 2.5% of the total square footage. That's what's at question here. And from our perspective, there's really three reasons that we see that it would be reasonable for council to grant this variance. The first one is that we do believe that there's been some hardship created for us merely by the fact that we are a year into this process of having requested this variance and brought this to the attention of staff. We are already 8 months under construction, and we still don't have a resolution to this issue. And we understand, we've appreciated working with Shayla and her team since she came in, and understand her perspective and the staff's perspective was not to grant an administrative variance. The feeling was that this body needed to make that decision, and we respect that. That said, the fact that it's taken a year to get us to this point with multiple attempts and put us now in a position where we have very little options because we're fully under construction with our building permits and moving forward, so our options to change things are quite limited. In addition to the fact that we communicated the square footages of all of our units through every single public meeting that we had. Able to bring up the PowerPoint, so I'll see if I can catch us up. The subject property, just as a reminder, is at the intersection of Lee Road and Interstate 20. So the variance request, as I pointed out, is to go from 1,500 square feet really to 1,248 square feet, and that represents 2.6% of the total square footage. So the three reasons we believe the variance is justified are the length of time that it's taken to get here and the difficult situation we're now in where we're under construction on a project, yet have a design-related variance that's at question. We're literally out in the field getting ready to pour foundations. Every communication that we've had with the city and with staff has shown that square footage. We understand that a variance has some technicalities to it, but at no point was this hidden or not discussed. It was open and part of every single conversation we've had. The second piece we would point out, and this hopefully would give council comfort, we believe, in granting this variance, is that the code, we actually don't believe the specifics of the code as it relates to 3-bedroom units really are consistent with the intent of the code. If the intent is to prevent unhealthy and cramped living conditions, requiring 1,500 square feet for a 3-bedroom unit in an apartment community isn't necessary. It's too many square feet, and I'll go into some detail on that. And the third and last piece is that we don't see evidence that this code has actually been enforced in the city, either in the past or currently. Over 90% of the multifamily communities in the city of Douglasville don't comply with this code. And in fact, President, more recently, there's 3 projects under construction that don't comply with this code either, and we don't see any evidence that there's a variance in place. So to get into just a little bit more detail on these points, I'm showing here the project timeline. I won't dwell too much on this, but we were rezoned. We got our PRD zoning ordinance back in June of 2021. We actually had an administrative variance that was handled related to parking. The city code is a little outdated as it relates to parking, and that was understood by staff. We went through a process to change from 2.25 spaces to 1.5 spaces per thousand. Our development plan was approved in October of 2021. And again, at all of the staff meetings and the council meetings in this room, we were showing the unit counts and the square footages. In January of 22, when we closed on the property and closed on our loan, our due diligence with our lender going through the code and the design brought up this issue, that there was a difference between the code minimum and what our square footage was. And that's when we brought it to the attention of staff. We were given very clear direction and feedback by the staff member, Ryan Anderson was the gentleman's name, that was understood and that could easily be handled with an administrative variance, that his opinion would be granted. So we made that. We were first asked to write a letter, then we were asked to actually put a formal variance application and pay a fee, and we did that in March of 2022. We continue to follow up. We began construction of the project in May. By July of 2022, after repeated follow-up, we then discovered that the variance had maybe been misplaced. I think Ryan Anderson no longer works with the city, and so we understand that maybe some of the direction he was giving us was wasn't consistent with what the city was wanting to do, and he no longer works at the city. In August, once we kind of realized all of that, in August we reapplied for the bedroom variance. And then we started having some conversations with Shayla and her team, and by December got to the point where, there was a realization that staff was not comfortable granting this variance administratively, and that's why we're here tonight. And just to recap, what's on the screen right now is a slide that we showed repeatedly at all of the zoning and development plan meetings, where we showed exactly what our bedroom mix was and what the square footages were, and highlighted in yellow there is the 3-bedroom size. So the second reason why we think granting of this variance is perfectly reasonable for this body to do is that we do think that this code isn't really consistent with the intent of the UDO. So if you see here, the minimum square footages for a 1-bedroom is 750, for 2 bedrooms, 1050, and the 3 bedrooms, 1500. Going from a 1-bedroom to a 2-bedroom unit, you typically add both a bedroom and a bathroom. You rarely these days see 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom units being developed. You see 2 twos. And a bedroom generally is about 150 square feet, and a bathroom is usually a little smaller than that. So the jump from 750 to 1050, that's a jump of 300 square feet from a 1 to a 2, makes sense. The jump from a 2 to a 3 is 450 square feet. And that really, to us, doesn't make sense. That's far more area than you need for a 3rd bedroom. And again, it's inconsistent with the difference between the 1 and the 2. But more specifically, and I'm showing here on the screen our actual unit plan for the 3-bedroom unit, staff points out very correctly that the spirit and intent of the ordinance is to prevent, cramped and unhealthy living conditions. The city doesn't want that, and we understand it. But our bedrooms, the 2 extra bedrooms besides the master in this design are almost 160 square feet. They're 13 by 12. That's a size that allows for a full closet, a king bed, 2 bedside tables. It's an ample size by any objective measure for a bedroom. In fact, International Building Code requires a minimum of 70 square feet per bedroom. So we're more than double the minimum square footage required. And in fact, we're just pointing out here as well that in the city of Douglasville, in the R5 single-family cottage residential district, you can actually build with a minimum of 1,200 square feet. So we don't think it's consistent or reasonable to request or to suggest that a 3-bedroom apartment in an apartment community has a minimum square footage that's actually bigger than what you could build a 2 or 3-bedroom single-family home for in another district in the city. And finally, when we look around, it appears to us that this is a section of the code that, quite frankly, just doesn't seem to have been enforced or applied. We've gone and done some research, and of the 26 communities that we found in the city of Douglasville, multifamily communities of some size, so that's typically over about 50 units, that 92%, 24 of the 26 communities we looked at, don't comply with this code. They have average square footages for units that are below the required minimums in the code. Looking at 18 of those communities are the ones that don't comply with the 3 bedrooms. They have 3 bedrooms that are below 1,500 square feet. Again, that's 90%. And these range from communities that are 50 years old to communities that are new or under construction. So 86% of the communities developed since 2000 also don't comply with this code. And specifically, there's 3 projects under construction. One is recently completed, but 3 projects that are new, just like ours, are under construction, went through a rezoning process. We don't see any evidence that there was any discussion of a variance or a variance granted. We just haven't seen that, and so the evidence suggests to us that this just isn't something that's been enforced. And so our position is, I think it's necessary for it to be enforced based on the conversation we had about the unit sizes, and we think by enforcing it on us would be selectively enforcing a piece of the code in one situation when it hasn't been applied in others. So really to conclude, there's sort of these 3 reasons. One, this has been a long process, and we think it's arrived at a point where we're still discussing a variance while we're well into the construction process and working with building plans that we already have in hand. And we think that creates a hardship situation. 2, we think it's more than appropriate for council to approve this variance because what we are designing is consistent with the intent of the code, and it is not creating unhealthy or cramped living conditions in the city. And finally, we don't think that this is a section of the code that's actually being enforced. And so we think that starting to apply it now, we don't feel that would be fair or appropriate.
Thank you, sir. Your name again?
My name is Connor McNally.
Mr. McNally, I'm sorry, I apologize, I didn't jot the name down. I've got a couple of comments and questions, and then I'll open it up for questions. Our attorney, we would plan to remove this from the table and actually have our public hearing on Monday before we vote, is that correct?
You can have the public hearing right now. You would just have to vote to remove the item from the table first.
Even though this is not a voting meeting, we are in a position to be able to do that.
You're in one now.
We're okay with that. I want to make sure. Just mixed feelings sometimes as to how we go about it. Okay. Well, since you all are here, and since we have waited on your team to be here all together, then we'll go ahead then. And first of all, then I will make a motion to remove from the table item 23-039 so that we can have that public hearing.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I have a motion to remove from the table. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. It's been properly moved in second, moved by the Chair of Planning and Development Committee, Councilmember Mark Adams, and second by Mayor Pro Tem, City Councilmember Terry Miller, to remove from the table item 23-039. Do we have any additional conversation, concerns, or any dialogue from council members about removing this item from the table? I don't see any. All those in favor of removing this item from the table, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. 23-039 is unanimously removed from the table.
Okay. Just making sure we took care of that technicality, Mr. McNally. And thank you, Ms. Jordan. A couple of things, Mr. McNally, I want to ask a couple of questions. First of all, I don't think I've spoken with you personally about this, and I am truly apologetic and sorry for the position that you all have been placed in as far as our city staff changes and the amount of time that it's taken. I don't know of a municipality that's not been affected by it. I don't see that as a legitimate reason why you would think that the city would owe you a variance only because you've been put through hardship. Honestly, I don't see that. I'm sorry, I just don't agree with that. We've all been through a very trying time in the last 3 years with COVID and with staff challenges, and I can do nothing but defend our staff. They did not feel, and I'm speaking specifically for Ms. Reed at this point, did not feel comfortable with her being young as a new staff member as far as experience with this council and with mayor. And so she didn't feel comfortable in doing an administrative variance, and I respect that. So having said that, then let's move on, okay? When you applied for the rezoning and when you development plan, did your development plan include 10% of the development in 3-bedroom units that had 1,500 square feet in them?
No, our development plan, the plans have never had 3-bedroom units of that size.
So-
The slide I showed earlier was from our first rezoning hearing. The design has not changed since then.
Okay. Point well taken, no problem. I don't personally have a problem. I understand I've been on your side of the dais. I understand where you're coming from. I know you have an extremely challenging site. I'm by it 2 or 3 times a week. I see it for myself. But I would think that more of your potential problem here in the last 18 months has been weather as much as it's been anything. Looking at your project, seeing what you're going through, seeing what has to be done, knowing the challenge of the site and the access to the site, I'm with you, okay? I would not want the intent to be that we were trying to in any way discriminate nor set a precedent of doing something for you or for anyone else that we would not do for everyone. And with you having 10% of the development in 3-bedroom units, this is in my ward. I share the ward with Councilmember Miller, and I want to hear from all of the council members concerning this. But if there's anyone else here, after we let the council ask questions, then if there's anyone else here that would like to make a statement, we need to run it. We're running against our time, so let's make sure that we're respectful of that. I'll just open the floor to see if there's anyone that has questions or comments, and I'll start with Councilwoman Miller.
Thank you, sir. First, I would like to apologize as well. That is quite a bit of time to have to, for this to linger on, but I do commend our staff for stepping up and doing what they thought was correct. My first concern, of course, was why are you wanting to do this, which I think that question has already been answered. And then my next concern would just be, will this negatively impact the quality of the project?
Would the granting of the variance negatively
Yes.
impact? No, because again, the quality of the project, which was debated in this room quite a bit before you granted the rezoning, has not changed.
So-
The units, this was merely a case of not realizing that the code wasn't consistent with what we had presented and what got approved at this body. So that, I'm sorry, but to directly answer your question, not at all. 1,200 for a three-bedroom unit. We have developed this same basic design in 8 other locations. We have occupied, leased, and sold properties with this design, and it's extremely well received. And that three-bedroom unit, in fact, is probably the most popular unit plan that we have. In your communities, we're doing more than 10% of them.
Okay, that's what I needed to know, is that coming down to a smaller square footage, that the residents in these units would not be losing any amenities that they could have had with a larger square footage. Thank you. That was all.
Others? Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had a couple comments. First, I would be cautious that well, he knocked a liquor store off and didn't get caught, but I did get caught, isn't always the best defense. Second is that the established precedent for code reviews, whether zoning or building, it's still incumbent upon the owner and the owner's representatives to know the code. And if the code says X and you do Y, even if it gets all the way through the approval process, it's still incumbent, if it's caught at any moment, any part of the thing. If I were to design, a building that missing a firewall between 2 tenants, and it comes down to, the code official the fire marshal during the building inspection sees it, it has to get changed at that point, because that's the code. The code is the code. So I think that's something for the council to take into consideration. The other thing is, I think that my understanding is that the concept behind understanding the going from the square footage of 1 bedroom to 2 bedroom to 3 bedroom is not just simply an additive process. It isn't, you add 150 square feet plus another 70 for the bathroom. You're also adding to the living space as well. You're also adding to the kitchen space and the dining space. So proportionally, it's also going up. It's not just going up additively, it's going up proportionally to the number of people who are living in the space. So I think it's a little oversimplistic to say that if it goes from 750 to 1050, then it should go to, another 300, which would be 1350, which you're still under that 1350. I think also that, if you're asking for a variance, based on understanding of or consideration of where you are in the design process, let's say, if it's 1,200 and let's say it's 1,500 is the square footage and you were at 1,450, that's splitting hairs. And I say, okay, you're pretty close. I think, we don't have a problem with, but you're over 200 square feet below the 1,500, so it's a little harder to be empathetic toward that type of variance. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Others? Councilman Estes?
Mayor Pro Tem just asked my question.
All right. What about you, Madam Mayor? I see you
Yes,
want to make
sir.
a comment?
I just had a comment I was going to ask staff. I know Mr. McNally had given us some statistics about the 24 developments, and he referenced that they were from previous times up to current date.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I know we are continually, as we are allotted from the ARC and the region, to update our comprehensive plan and our UDO and all of that. So is it an update that from the 1,500 square feet when we redid our comp plan, our comprehensive plan and our uniform development code?
I'm sorry, are you asking if the?
Yes, did it go up from 1,200 to 1,500 based on us doing, if we have 90% at less than 1,500 feet for 3 bedrooms,
Yes, ma'am.
is it different? Has something changed whereby the people in the past have not had a 1,500 square feet? And you may not be able to answer that question, City Manager, do you understand? I know Ms. Reed is new.
I think I can address that. We haven't really done an analysis on when those properties were built, but because what I can tell you is that the UDO, I think it explicitly states that regardless of what took place in the past, it does not alleviate the responsibility of the current applicant to follow the UDO. So even if there are properties that are grandfathered in that maybe got passed the process. It is still the responsibility of the current applicant to follow the current UDO. Our UDO has been in place for the last 2 years.
Okay.
We will go and check that to see how many of those units were there. We'll have that for you before Monday night. But it would not change the current applicant's responsibility as far as what has to be adhered to.
Yes, ma'am. And so that's what I was really referring to or trying to get to, and city managers really answered the question. If the other 2 or 4, however many that you surveyed, are within that 15, could be because our UDO has changed and the square footage was added for the health and safety of the residents who live there, because the studies have shown that you have more people there. I understand what you're saying about going from 750 to 1,050, you know, to 1,500. It's kind of like math, and it can be 1,200, but if you have more people, they're going to need more space. So this is just some comments. Thank you so much, but you did answer the question, and we'll have that information for us by Monday to help us make a determination. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Other questions or comments? Yes, Coach.
I would be interested in knowing, and I don't know if we would have access to this information, where there are apartments in the city or even the county that are 3-bedroom and are 1,500 square feet or closer to that number, and whether or not, you know, because what I heard tonight was that that extra square footage isn't really necessary for a 3-bedroom. It's a big jump from, 450 square foot jump. But I would just be curious. I don't know how to even get that information and find out if there are other, yes, ma'am.
We'll just have to determine when those units were constructed and then what ordinance was in place, because keep in mind, we've had several different changes to the ordinance, so it's going to take us some time. So it's not just what happened 2 years ago, but it would have been what happened in subsequent years. But we will get that information for you as quick as possible.
Thank you.
City Manager, may I also add that it's based on zoning as well? PRD and PUD allows apartments, so those are 2 different zoning classifications.
Thank you. How much time do, I'm sorry, Dr. Berdanelli, I didn't see your hand. Go ahead.
No, my questions have been answered. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
How much
Thank you,
time?
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, we have 8 minutes, 39 seconds left for anyone who would like to speak in favor.
Okay. Has the applicant taken their time?
Yes, their time was included in that 20 minutes in favor of the item.
Okay. Was there a comment that you would like to make, sir? If so, quickly identify yourself and make your comment.
Yes, sir.
We
My
need to
name
move
is
on.
My name's Joel Larkin. I'm with the firm Sam's Larkin and Huff, and you may recall I was here for the presentations when this went through zoning. I wanted to clarify one issue that's come up, that on this property, the lender became aware of this discrepancy. And I participated in the process with them, and we contacted the city of Douglasville.
I see that.
And explained the issue to them and expressed our concern that we may need to delay, and it could jeopardize the project even potentially. And we spoke with Mr. Anderson, and he absolutely assured us that it was fully within his province to grant an administrative variance, and assured us that he would do that. And I know we didn't get that in writing, but he said it was very routine to do it. So to the extent that there's an evaluation of equities or responsibilities, there's been no effort made here to game the system or play the rules. Every hearing we had, in fact, even the meeting that we came to and met with you two, we had that slide where we laid out exactly the number of units and the square footages and the sizes. It's been entirely consistent.
Okay.
So, I mean, this is an equitable situation where one of the main things you need to do in considering a variance is to kind of look at the impact on the applicant and the impact on the city. And we submit to you here that the impact on the applicant is huge and it threatens the project. And on the other hand, the impact on the city is negligible. This will be a first-class project. The units will be plenty big to provide first-class housing that will be in great demand by tenants. That this is not going to be a project where people are going to suffer because they don't have an apartment that's bigger than a lot of houses.
Sure.
So we'd ask you to take that
Thank
into
you very much.
consideration. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, just within the last part, let me clarify one other part, or just our perspective, as was called out in the staff report and has been discussed. The granting of a variance to another project is not the basis for us to request the same variance. We understand that. The UDO is very clear. Our assertion here is quite different from that. Our assertion is that this code has not been enforced. And enforcing it on us would be selectively enforcing it on the person who brought it to the attention of the city that it was an issue.
Okay,
That's.
thank you. Thank you. I
Thank
need
you
to
very
give, I need to give opportunity for those that would like to speak, please. Thank you. Anyone here that would like to speak concerning this item, either for or against, if you please come forward, give us your name and address for the record, and we would be glad to hear from you. Speaking for or against, please come forward. Okay, seeing no one, then we'll close that portion of the public hearing. Are there any other questions or comments that anyone would have for the applicant before we move on? Okay. Thank you all for coming in. Thank you for that information. We will take this up on Monday for a vote. Move on to item C, hold a public hearing, consider request for special land use permit for a wedding venue for property zoned NC Neighborhood Commercial, being .55 acres at 8667 Hospital Drive, land lot 50, District 1, Section 5, parcel 00500150086, application by The Wedding Knot LLC, care of Wanda Miller. Ms. Reed?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay, so this is a special land use permit, as mentioned. The applicant, The Wedding Knot, is requesting to have a wedding and special event venue along Hospital Drive. Currently, the property has .55 acres. They're asking for an event center within a NC neighborhood commercial district. Such a use is allowed in neighborhood commercial. Here you're seeing photos of the facility, give you an idea of what the structure looks like when it comes to the parking and the full land in regards to the fencing that's around it, as well as the rear component of the structure and the interior. Along for current land use, the property is currently zoned NC with surrounding R4 single-family residential developments nearby. You're going to see also some governmental land across the street from it, which you're seeing in the green colors. And then the future land use has the regional activity center. That the zoning aligns, so does the use within the regional activity center. So this particular condition listing has 3 different conditions. However, staff has had a conversation. Well, we had a planning commission meeting last week. During the planning commission meeting, the applicant identified that they were going to have shared parking at the location at that particular planning commission meeting. And in that discussion, we identified that the code has rules necessary for shared parking. And one of the rules that is found within the ordinance of the UDO is that there has to be a deed or covenant that records shared parking for a identification of 20 years. That identifies that these 2 properties will be in agreement to have shared parking for this particular use that is identified in section 8.01 of our zoning, or excuse me, of our UDO. So with that, staff is asking to defer the item to allow for the applicant to have an opportunity to have that addressed first.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Reed. Is the applicant present?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If the applicant would come forward, give us your name and address for the record, and make your presentation, please. Could we be reminded of the time, please?
There will be 20 minutes in total for the applicant and anyone who would like to speak in favor.
Okay. Go ahead, ma'am. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good.
Good afternoon. My name is Wanda Miller. My address is 7380 Riverwalk Drive, Douglasville, Georgia. I am here requesting a special land use permit for the Wedding Knot located at 8667 Hospital Drive. This venue, we would be recognized as a destination, a wedding spot. It's not a venue for parties. It will be strictly used for weddings, for retirements. I've invested $250,000 in this property, and we want to keep that elegant ambiance of this event center. We have a chapel in the center that seats 70 people. unlike the other event centers that is here in the area. The opportunity to have a wedding in the church or in the chapel, we have that. We have a ballroom. We also have a garden pavilion that is screened in that holds about 200 people. Our ballroom only, it's limited to 99 people. And we have a stage on the outside that gives you, if you're renting the garden, it gives you a wedding either on the stage or a wedding under the pavilion. We have a bar that seats about 12 people in the back. And we're just asking for your prayers and granting us the special land use.
Okay, thank you. I have a couple of questions, and then I'll ask any of the other council or Madam Mayor may have any. Ms. Miller, you have opened this, you already opened and have been operating or have operated at this facility, correct?
No, it's not open. We had one event in the parking lot, which I was not under the understanding that because we didn't have the business license for the building, we had an event in the parking lot. But I wasn't under the understanding that we had to have a permit if we did an event or anything there.
Okay, so you haven't opened for business?
No, we're not open for business.
Okay. I understand from staff and her report that you are in need of a shared parking agreement, written shared parking agreement in either deed or covenant form for up to 20 year, for a 20-year term. Do you own this property?
I do.
Okay. And so you would need to deal with a neighbor, whether it be right side, left side, or possibly across the street. Of course, we know that that is our county courthouse, but then there are written documents that we would be in need of according to staff, okay?
Sure.
And you understand that?
Yes, sir, I
Okay,
do.
okay. Questions, comments? Yes, Madam Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming in,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Miller. I do have, I just wanted to know if this is standard across the region, or in the metro area, that you have to have a shared parking lot for 20 years. That seems obscure to me in a long time, because you can sell your business to someone else and they may not need the parking, or your neighbor can sell, and so that just seems like that's pretty hefty for
So
20
shared
years.
parking is pretty any municipality to whatever standard they require. I can find out if the years are comparable, but I can say that anytime a sale takes place, those deeds and covenants are mentioned at that time.
Okay. Now, and the other thing is, I did, for the council's information, I did receive a phone call from Mr. Chris Hanley, who owns Hanley Insurance next door to Ms. Miller's property. He said that it was okay for her. He said, do you hear me? It's okay for her to have the parking. And the sheriff called today about the courthouse and said that he was giving his permission. But I did say to the sheriff that you probably need to put that in writing, and we would have, if we need to, we need to have Mr. Hanley put it in writing as well. But subsequently, after having that meeting, I did receive an email from staff to let us know that it comes from the county attorney, that the parking lot is not the sheriff's, is for him to have security and law enforcement over, but it says, according to the GIS, the courthouse located at 8700 Hospital Drive, the main and current courthouse is owned by Douglas County government. So it's the Board of Commissioners who would need to give an authorization and a letter for parking, and not the sheriff of Douglas County.
Yes,
So-
ma'am. That makes total sense. He's an
Okay.
elected official. And
So
could
that
change.
just for information. So I
Okay.
know Mr. Hanley said it was okay, but we probably would need to get a letter from him.
My question
Board
would
of Commissioners.
would be for staff also, and I've already expressed this concern to Ms. Reed, is how many spaces are required? I know that Mr. Hanley is on the corner there. I know the business. I know him personally, and it would just depend upon how many spaces he could provide. And I'm assuming that the reason for the 20-year agreement is because this building owned by by the owner, Ms. Miller, would need that as long as she's operating that type of business there, because originally this was built as a photography shop, which would have had far, far, far fewer people attending at any one time. Okay?
Garrison.
Right, Garrison's Photography, originally it was there. So that's the reason for that requirement. I think Coach Watts had a question. Go ahead, sir.
That's a busy little spot there, 5 lanes. Is there a crosswalk that would go from where the shared parking would be taking place to y'all's lot? Because that's, you know, it's 5 lane.
It's a sidewalk, from Mr. Hanley's parking lot to ours.
No, I was talking about if y'all were using across the street.
At the courthouse.
Yes, it's a crosswalk there.
There's a crosswalk at the
There is a
intersection.
crosswalk
Yes.
there, okay.
Yes.
I mean, I drive by there all the time, just hadn't noticed that. Okay, thank you.
Others? Other questions? Yes, Mr. Davis.
Yes, that facility, I've been there to take many pictures years ago. It was Garrison Photography, and in the back, he had a waterfall and a stage. And I don't know how he got all the people there, but it was always busy. My question is, the person that opened up the event hall 3 or 4 doors down, did she have to do all the 20 years? Did she have to do everything?
Kimber Light.
That is something I can't check for you before Monday. I can do the research and come back to you on Monday.
Yes.
She might predate if this is part of the UDO, she might have predated that, so it's possible.
See me?
Okay, thank you.
Other questions,
yes.
comments?
Yes, I have a question and a
Yes, Ms.
comment.
Stanley.
Thank you, Chairman.
I'm sorry, I
Thank
could
Ms.
not see you.
Wilson.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem is
Back up
blocking
some,
you,
Mayor
sir.
Pro Tem,
Ma'am.
so he can see me.
I hardly eclipse anyone around here.
It's okay, it's basically, I'm teasing. Thank you so much. Your renovation of your building is very, very nice.
Thank
I
you.
do agree with Madam Mayor that 20 years is a long time. If we can get that research to give you a little bit of leniency if this is voted upon. And also, Mr. Hanley is next door, but also behind your location as well as the other locations outside of Mr. Hanley, could that be considered as shared parking as well?
Yeah, yes, it can, and due to the ordinance, we only required to have 31 parking spaces. We have 21, and Mr. Hanley has 23.
Gotcha. So you technically would not, I'm sorry, Ms. Reed, were you going to say something?
So our calculations are different. So she's being categorized as an event center. And so event center with her square footage would have 152 spaces. She has 20 and would only have additional 23 with the letter that was provided to us today. So she'll be missing a number of spaces that she would need to have additional parking for.
I would have thought that there would need to be more than 30-some odd for an event of that size with a possibility of over 100
Right,
people in your
because the way
ballroom.
that I read the ordinance, it said the largest room or square feet in the building, not the entire building, but the largest room. That's in your ordinance.
What?
The largest room is 775 feet.
Okay.
And they said 25 square feet per 775, one parking space. So 25 into 775 is 31 square feet. I mean,
Ms. Miller,
31 parking spaces.
we'll take that into consideration as far as what the ordinance says and the information that's provided by staff. I understand. There's no reason for us to argue that point at this moment. Thank you, though, for that input. If there are no other questions,
Just quickly.
A couple of.
yes, Mr. Mayor Pro
Ms.
Tem.
Miller, I understand you've already got it built, you're ready to go then. You've got the space finished.
Well, I'm gonna do some more decorating.
It's a lot of faith in the process. Okay, I was just curious. There's a lot of Millers in this room, by the way.
I know.
I'm sorry.
I said there's a lot of
A
Millers.
lot of
in this room.
Millers in this room.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your investment in the community.
Yes, thank you so much. And I apologize, I did want to, and I'm getting all these phone calls, and I just saw another text. So the Board of Commissioners, I guess one of the concerns would be liability, and the Commissioner Robinson wanted to make certain if we had I'm not sure if we had, and I think I talked to the chief about this before, for people with disabilities or sight limitations to get across the street. I know there is a marker, it does a countdown, so would that be, he was just concerned about people walking across the street from the event to the courthouse, and if something happened, liability issues.
Who is he?
Commissioner Kelly Robinson.
Okay. With all due respect, I think we need to have that conversation with them.
Yes, sir.
And see if they are willing on their behalf, or maybe they need to have that conversation.
Okay.
Try to come up with the parking spaces that are going to be required. Us being in connection with them as to helping them do that, I'm not sure it wouldn't draw us into a potential liability situation.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. I was
Okay.
trying to get
Other
him
questions? Yes, ma'am, thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on behalf, for, or against this application? This being a public hearing, we need to give opportunity for that. So if there is anyone, please come forward, give us your name and address for the record. Let us know that you are speaking either for or against, and we would love to hear from you. Thank you, Ms. Miller.
Yes, sir.
Come forward, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Abdul Mahdi Al Husseini, and I live in 2860 Legion Lake Road, Douglasville, Georgia. I have been knowing Ms. Miller for over 30 years, and she has been really providing very good services for our citizens here in Douglasville. And I believe that such services she's asking to have, we needed it. And why not to keep it locally instead of from us to drive all the way to Atlanta? And I understand the legality aspect of it, and I leave that to you, of course. And the only thing probably you need to focus more on it, the safety. And if there's no safety issue, and especially the neighbors, they're willing to have her to share the parking lot. So please put that in consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Others?
Yes.
Hi, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Nicole Conley, and I've been knowing Ms. Miller over 10 years. And I think this is a wonderful event center that she's come up with. I am a wedding planner and event planner, and what she's trying to do is keep things formal with this wedding center she's got going on. And everybody in here has kids. Everybody went through COVID. We all have outfits that we never got to wear, right? I think this would be wonderful to plan, formal events. This would be a good thing for a little Cinderella ball for the children, you know what I'm saying? It's good for the children to learn formal. Like you said, you go to the school and read books. The children need to learn formal, you know what I'm saying? So I think this would be a perfect opportunity for Douglasville.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Are there others?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Alfred Takang, 4427 Blue Ridge Drive in Douglasville. I've lived here since 1990. I've known Ms. Miller for more than 30 years. As a matter of fact, we've done a lot of business together. I'm a business consultant by profession and an accountant too. This event center, please, I plead to you guys to consider granting the special permit, please. It will help Douglas County, reference to job creation, help the local economy, and it will be good for the city. Please. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your input. Is there anyone else?
Is that a barber?
How y'all doing? My name is Janet Maynard. I've been living in Douglasville I don't live in Douglasville anymore, but I got a business
You need
in
to cut
Douglasville.
me up, Barbara Maynard.
Yes, barber. I own You Got Next Barbershop, and like I said, I've been knowing Miss Wanda for about 14 years, and she does a lot out here for the community. And the thing about her event center is it doesn't have the same amenities as the other event centers out here. So, and like my wife said, it'll be good, for kids to learn how to be formal, and y'all, like she said, COVID was here and we got to get ready for these new events. So I think it'll be a good addition to the city, even though it's next to an event center. Like I said, it's got different amenities, all on the outside and the inside. So I wish you all would grant her the space.
Thank you very much. Others? Anyone else? Is there anyone here that would speak in opposition to the application? Okay, seeing no others, then we'll close that portion of the public hearing. And if there are no other questions, then we will plan to take this up on
Mr.
Monday.
Chairman.
And I'm hoping that our staff will have us some.
One more.
Oh, I'm
Mr. Chairman,
sorry.
I have
Mr.
one
Davis,
more.
I'm sorry. I'm about to run past you, sir.
That's okay, my friend. Event centers, they mostly take care of themselves. If I'm doing a wedding of 1,000, I come to an event center that only holds about 50, I'm gonna move on. So basically, when the wedding party or whoever comes out to the event center, they can only accompany so many people and so much parking. So it would take care of itself. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All righty. We will then take this up on, is there any other comment? Anyone else? All right. Yes, Ms. Hampton.
Councilman, Mr. Chairman, is it appropriate to have staff work with Ms. Miller to see if she would be able to get those written documents before Monday? Because regardless of what the ordinance says, she's going to be required to have a shared use agreement in order for you all to move forward to take any action. And you all would need that on Monday.
I think it would be incumbent upon her to do that in written form according to what the requirements are in order for us to move forward, because without that, we really don't have the authority to move forward if we do not have that information in place, written information.
Yes, sir, and I would
Thank you.
just add that that written form is not necessarily a letter. There are specific things that the code requires in that written form.
Yes.
So I wouldn't want you to get something that you don't have all the details by Monday.
Ms. Miller, would you be willing to get with Ms. Reed as to exactly how that needs to be worded and what needs to be done? All right, thank you. We look forward to that. Thank you, Ms. Hampton, for that input. All right, if there's nothing else on that one, we will move on then to item D. Again, hold a public hearing and consider a request for special land use permit for job training and vocational rehabilitation services for property zone PUD, Plan Unit Development District, being 1.57 acres at 3270 Darby Drive. Land lot 155, District 1, Section 5, parcels 0155, 0150219, 0155, 0150220, and 01550150103. Application by Future Seekers Incorporated, care of Dr. Sandra Hall. Ms. Reed?
Thank you, sir. This is a special land use request as mentioned. The applicant, Future Seekers Incorporated, they're requesting to have a job training and vocational rehabilitation service at 3270 Darby Drive. This is a special land use request. The property is 1.57 acres. The property is currently zoned PUD with a base of general commercial. As you know, this is the clubhouse location for the existing tributary subdivision. They are under the impression that they would like to move forward with allowing for that particular structure to be used for a different use than that. And so with that, we have reviewed the application and found that the current area is PUD, as I mentioned, has a base zoning of commercial, and it allows for a future land use of mixed-use design. Staff has found that this particular request does fit the requirements spelled out in our Unified Development Ordinance, and we find that it does not cause a nuisance within the surrounding areas.
Okay. Is the applicant present?
They are.
If the applicant would please come forward, give us your name and address for the record, and we're ready to hear from you. Hello, Mr. Fowler.
Evening, everyone. Joe Fowler, Post Office Box 49. I'm here tonight with Dr. Sandra Hall. She is the founder and operator of Future Seekers. That's an organization that provides job training, vocational rehabilitation services at the building that you just saw. Those services are currently being provided or will be provided for middle and high school students as currently authorized by your code. But if it's going to be persons over than those ages, you have to have a special use permit. application is for just that, the special use permit. It was unanimously recommended for approval by your Planning and Zoning Board, and Dr. Hall will explain the nature of their services and the reason for this request.
Thank you,
very
Mr.
much.
Fowler.
Thank you very much. Good evening. First of all, thank you, City Council, and thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to come before you tonight. My name is Dr. Sandra Hall-Lay. I reside at 2749 Jacardner Lane, Atlanta, Georgia, 30331. Future Seekers Incorporated is a youth development and young adult development organization. We specialize in the development of training programs for middle school, high school students, and 18 students that are 18 plus years and older. We have been providing these services now for over 20 years. As a matter of fact, we are celebrating our 20th year this year. Before we even became an organization, those of us in the Atlanta community decided to start this organization and provide the services to the youth that were really in need of services, much like what was described earlier in this program when you all were, well, in this meeting where you all were talking about the importance of the impact on our youth in reading and literacy programs. And we provide those, we have done so for many years to many different counties in the state. So not only have we already serviced youth in the Douglasville area, but we've serviced youth in Fulton County, Bibb County, Cobb County, several counties in the state of Georgia, which we do hope to become an organization that will serve all the counties in Georgia one day. So we actually provide after-school and summer programs, and some programs in intercessory times. That means when the kids aren't in school, when they're at spring break or winter break, when parents still need to go to work and they want to place their kids with us so that we can impact them positively, academically, socially. So we offer those homework assistance, that tutoring, that robotics, and you know, STEM came online many years ago and that was a buzzword. But we have sort of perfected that robotics program where we're exposing students to a lot more than just science, but exposing them to technology, engineering, and other opportunities for career planning in their future. As we are here today asking for an opportunity to continue to provide services to students that are not typically the school age, secondary school age, but post-secondary, because not all post-secondary educated students want to go to college. And these days, you really don't have to in order to make a whole lot of money. So what we're doing is we're providing job career certifications for these students where they will receive MSc, Microsoft certifications, construction certifications, and CNA certifications, they're certified nursing assistants, which we plan on growing this program, but we have been providing these services for over 7 years now to students that are still in high school and students that are in alternative school certification. So that's where we are now. We just want to provide these services that we are already experienced at to a population that is over 18 years of age.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that.
Very much.
Questions, comments? Let's start on the far end with Mr. Estes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to see you, Dr. Hall.
Thank you. Good to see you, too.
How is the rehab on the building going?
It's going, sir.
They had, during the freeze at Christmas, they had some major water damage coming from the attic that basically flooded the entire building.
Entire building. 4 days after we closed.
Just a couple of quick questions for you. I mean, number one, welcome to the neighborhood. We're happy to have you there.
I'm very blessed and happy to be here.
I know when we spoke before about your plans, I just want to confirm just a couple of things very quickly. Number one, I mean, there is, I don't know how many parking spaces there are there, but you're never going to have any need to go beyond what the parking is available there, I'm guessing. Because for the size of that building, I don't know how you could, especially if you've got younger students coming there most of the time.
Exactly.
So you're good parking-wise where you won't need to have students parking out in the
Absolutely,
community?
yes, sir. I believe so.
Okay. And then the other question I have was your hours of operation. And I know when we spoke before, you had said, I believe, that everything would be completed during the week by 7 o'clock in the evening.
Absolutely. Most courses will conclude by 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Because what we try to do is, we have smaller classrooms, first of all, and then, so we try to get the students trained throughout the course of the business day, if we can. Now, there may be those times where we would have courses that will pretty much conclude before 7.
Right, okay. And adding an older age group with a potential SLUP is not going to change any of that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, who's next? Yes, Ms. Berdanley.
Councilman Davis, did you have a question?
No,
All right. Hi, Dr. Hall.
Hello.
Thank you so much for presenting such an awesome business that is so needed in our county. Unfortunately, a couple of years ago, probably 3 years or so, the Georgia Department of Vocational and Rehab relocated out of Douglas County and is in Carrollton. So this is definitely needed. You said middle school and high school, and then some college, no elementary, right?
No.
Oh.
But that's
But
not to say we won't go to
No,
the elementary
I
school.
am just very, this is just very needed, so perfect timing. Thank you. I don't have any other comments.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, did you have anything? You're hidden there.
I do not, I'm trying to stay out of everybody's.
Yes, Madam Mayor, go ahead.
No, thank you.
Good evening. Thank you so much, Dr. Hall. I like that pen, Sorbor. I do have a question, and this is no disrespect. Hopefully it doesn't come off that way. But, and I'm asking this because I served 7 years on a credentialing board for my church, and so you have a license and it is connected to an organization. So your organization, are you connected to anyone, or credentialing or certifications? Who are those instructors, so that when you come into the community, the credibility of your organization?
Well, Mayor, Madam Mayor, we actually try very hard to hire within our community. So we will from that we have used for years and years and years.
Okay.
But we would like to recruit from our community. And that probably won't be very hard to do. And those will be certified teachers in these specific areas.
Okay.
Microsoft is not hard to find a Microsoft certified instructor.
Yes.
CNA, not very difficult at all, and construction as well, because construction has taken over right now. Well,
Yes.
the last few years, construction has been really, their stock has been out the roof with us. I mean, we've had students come in and their interest is with construction first, because they hear they make a whole lot of money with that.
Right.
So, but to make sure I answer your question, yes, we will be hiring from the area eventually, but we do bring certified instructors from
Okay.
outside, and they are certified based on their trade or
Yes,
their
ma'am.
craft.
All right, so you're an umbrella, you're just housing everything, and everything flows down with those specific criteria for those particular certifications.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you so much.
Because they
Thank
make
you,
better
Mr.
subject matter experts.
Yes, ma'am, there you go.
Anyone
Thank
else?
you.
Okay. Ms. Hall, we appreciate your presentation. I want to ask staff just to make sure there are no problems or no issues as far as square footage, as far as parking, as far as the building itself being appropriate for this use in this zoning classification.
No, sir, we found none in our review.
Okay. There's also someone in the audience that seems to be disagreeing with the previous use of this time, a clubhouse. It looks like a multi-story office building. Is that correct?
It was the sales center and office space.
So it was not, it was never the clubhouse or? Okay.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, we need to open the floor for anyone that would like to come and speak concerning this application, it being a public hearing. Anyone that would come to speak either for or against, if you would give us your name and address for the record as you come forward, and we'd love to hear from you.
Good Evening, Vincent
evening.
Irving, 3154 Borough Road. Happy Black History Month. I am a resident of Tributary, and I am completely for this. I into the community. I remember when I was first driving through Tributary looking for a neighborhood to move into, I just had that feeling of welcomeness and growth and all the amazing things that I have come to know Douglasville to be. And I think this is a great addition to the culture of Tributary and all that we believe in. And as someone who has worked in youth development my entire career, you don't last 20 years in youth development if you don't know what you're doing. So I applaud Dr. Hall and know that she's going to be around for quite a while and make a really great impact in Douglasville. So I fully support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Others? Anyone else? Anyone here that would like to speak in opposition to this application? Okay, seeing none, then we'll close out the public hearing, and we will take this up then on Monday for a vote. Mr. Fowler, did you have something else to say?
Yes, I know what's on the agenda for Monday night. I'll not be here. I'm welcoming a missionary from England. I got to pick him up at the airport, so I won't be here, but Dr. Hall will be here, if I could be excused from that.
I'm sure she can handle it.
I think she possibly
Happy
could.
belated birthday,
Thank you.
Thank
Attorney
you.
Fowler.
Thank you.
We can zoom you in, sorry, Joe.
I know.
Okay, we'll move on to item E. Again, hold a public hearing. Consider a request for change in zoning from PUD Planned Unit Development District to PUD Planned Unit Development District for 113.489 acres located Brook Hollow Drive, land lot 77, District 1, Section 5, parcel 007701500014, and land lot 78, District 1, Section 5, parcel 007801505151. Application by Abdel Madhi Al Husseini, Salem. Ms. Reed?
Yes, sir. I will start the presentation while it loads. As mentioned, this is a rezoning request. That's okay. This is a rezoning request for property on 113 acres. There is a PUD currently on the parcel. They're asking to rezone it to PUD without conditions. Well, with different conditions. So they're asking for the conditions basically to be revised. It's not for the conditions to change. So with that, the parcel that of question is a parcel that has an existing PUD and R2 property surrounding the parcels. And so it has the correct future land use in place with low-density residential. And with that, staff has been working with the applicant in regards to those 2003 conditions that they have in place. We have identified what conditions they're asking to have changed, and you'll have that in your staff report. But one thing that we did want to point out, which I can say when it comes to density, I am encouraging other applicants to do as this one is doing. He's asking to come before council to change the density versus just kind of going about doing that. So he has requested to revise his density to allow for 7.62 units per acre. That existing subdivision has about, or that area has about 7.9 units per acre. So they're asking for an increase in that, but they're asking for it to be lower than what's already in the surrounding area. So it is very similar to what's already out there, and they're asking to finish that development. The pictures that you're seeing here are entrances along that road. Those are photos of the particular site so that you can see what the structures are resembling once out there. And as mentioned, you're seeing the PUD and R2 surrounding zonings. Again, this is a piece of land that is, I think between the time of 2008, development paused. Particular recession went in place, and so they were trying to sell this land to pick it back up to finish the development that did not take place after the recession of 2008. With that, we are asking for the density of 7.62 to be allowed, and then we have conditions that you're seeing that are development standards that are listed inside of that particular staff report. As you're seeing, it's going to give you those particular densities that will be for each of the different developments. You're seeing where there's cottage lots and regular single-family detached structures that are being requested for this development. And in your site plan as well, I believe page 12 of that, you'll see how that site plan aligns. There are yellow parcels that are going to be the single-family detached, as I mentioned, and then the pinkish colors are going to be where the cottage homes are going to be identified. So with that, staff supported the recommendation of the Planning Commission with those conditions to allow for that development to move forward. And again, those conditions are aligned on page 10 that tells you exactly how those particular lots will be developed, and that's the condition necessary.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Is the applicant with us?
They are.
Please come forward and present your application. Give us your name and address for the record again, please, sir.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Abdel Mahdi Al Husseini, and I currently live, and I have been living in the same address since I came to Douglasville back in 1990. So therefore, I have been living here more than half of my life and more than what I lived in the holy city of Jerusalem. I live at 2860 Legion Lake Road, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135. Thank you very much for the introduction and for your help. As you can see, this is where the property is located. We are not far away from I-20 and Chapel Hill. And this is probably one of the largest left land has not been developed. And we are here to develop it and to see if we can put it in a good use. As my friend mentioned here, this is an existing subdivision. It's called Brookmount. It has been originally developed by J.D. Brooks, and he called Brookmount as a legacy behind him. One of the best developers that anybody can have his house to be built over there. And we are here to continue that legacy. And as you can see there, the one surrounded in the red on the left-hand side, and that's what we are currently building. I own over there 64 lots, and we just broke the ground to build the 3 homes over there, and one of them is going to be $1.2 million, and the other 2 are going to be in the dollars. Now, what the one in the question here, that they are, in yellow, but also that they have the yellow line over there. We are not really asking for any variances. We are not trying to build any cheaper homes or less space or less sizes of homes. We are going to follow exactly what the HOA is really asking and recommending. And I'm glad to see our friend here, Terry Miller, here in front of us here, and also my friend, dear friend, Orek Corey. He is the president of the HOA. So our commitment, we're going to stick whatever the HOA is going to ask us, and we're going to stick and even to exceed the minimum requirement what the city and the county of Douglasville. So therefore, please, I don't want you to think that I'm here to ask for less sizes or anything. The reason I'm here, to be honest with you, if you look at the verbiage on the right-hand side, that our president here, that Mr. Orek, he said he came to Mahdi, we need to have more affordable houses. All right, you have 64 lots over there that they are, asking for 4,000 square feet in a basement and 5,500 in a basement. And you already have 64 and have been there for a while. Why not to go ahead and change what we already have to have it more affordable? Number 2, when J.D. Brooks came up with the original plan for the 114 acres, unfortunately, he did not do what we refer to as geotechnical engineering analysis or soil testing. Right now, we did. They have hard rocks, and then literally you cannot do anything over there. And probably whoever went to Brookmount lately, you can see the rocks over there. They're huge, like Stone Mountain. All right? And number 2, we have what we call it steep slopes. And more important than that, I'm partnering right now with BuildSol. They have the same vision as Madam Mayor mentioned in the early, saying that we need to have more trees. And that's the idea born. They said, okay, since we have rocks, we have, slope, why not to have more green space? Now, so therefore, we're trying to do right now, this is exactly what we have in mind. And you can see, if I go back, you see where the one on the yellow over there, see, we don't have any much as of green space. Now we have more green space. And we're going to connect this phase, I refer to it as Brookmount Phase 2, with the Brookmount Phase 1, the estate section, where we're going to have walking trail. We're going to have a lot of amenities over there, where our, the resident over there, they're going to enjoy it, and they're going to have fun over there. Okay, and also, we're going to stick to build very good quality homes. The bottom line, our mission is to have optimum level environment where the community can enjoy the scenery, they can enjoy the green space, they can have more green space, and they can have more affordable houses. So this is what we have in mind. All right, we are still going to build some of the houses that we already currently have in the estate section, where we're going to have 4,000 square feet in a base, in a slab, and 5,500 in a basement. We will come to that. But if you can look at this one here, we are going to have 65 acres, which is roughly 57%. All right, it's going to be designated as green space. We're going to have a walking trail over that, and it's going to be deeded to the HOA. We're not going to build anything there in the future. And also, we already talked with the Douglas County Water Sewer System Authority. They have no problem with the water. We already have water over there because that's an existing development there. The sewer is very good. The school system, already they checked in it. They have no problem with that. And the police department, I just met with my friend here, Dr. Chief Spark here. And just to bring to your attention, my son, he's going to be working with them, and as we speak, he is in the police academy.
Oh, congratulations.
And he will be joining, to the community here to help us and to help. So that's a good thing. And if there's any problem with that, the chief, let me know. I will be more than happy to do whatever you need. Okay? And that would be a good thing to give it to my son to do. But we are committed for that. And also, what we did, we went the extra step. We did the traffic and the crash study, and they came back that still the street referred to them, and probably Terry, can help me to explain that level of services. A, meaning the streets are in the best shape. They don't need to be, they're not going to be impacted with this development here. And also we reached out to the fire marshal. They are happy with it. They're saying that provided we're going to have more than 2 entrances. And we already have that in mind. And more importantly, we are teaming up with the HOA, and probably Terry can relate to that, how many times I called him, because we are building in the other section, in case if we need to have any discussion, if we have any problem, we reach out to them. We have been really working with them very nicely. And also, HRC, we have here Jonathan, in case if you need any help, and they are from Douglas, city of Douglasville. They are very, very well-known and renowned company that are helping us to do that. The last item I put over there, I mean, the city and the county, they need as much funding as possible to provide as many services, to our citizens, to the school, to the police department, to the hospital, and all of that. And this is just a quick calculation within probably 80% accuracy, right? And this development probably is going to bring over $2 million when it comes to water tab, sewer tab, fees, and all of that. And then probably over $1 million in property taxes a year. So why not? That piece of land has been there since God created Adam and Eve, and even before that. I mean, why not to go ahead and put it in a best use? So right now, this is what we have. So in the same development, all right, as you can see, it's going to be in 3 different sections, the estate section, and also we're going to have it in the meadow section, and also we have in the cottage section. So the estate section, we are still committed. We are not asking for any variances. And we are going to build homes over there starting from 650 and above. And I said earlier, we already have building a house there for $1.2 million. And this hopefully will enhance the value of the homes over there. And this one of the rendering we are going to build. And as you can see here, that the house on the top, that we just bought it, I gave it to my cousin to live in it. It's a beautiful house. And on the right-hand side of the top, these are the 2 lots that we are currently building. And this is what we are going to build over there. So we are there to enhance the community. We are not there to build cheap homes. We are there to make sure that we're going to have a good quality living. Now, when it comes to the villages, the same thing. We are going to exceed the minimum requirement of the HOA. We are going to build houses, at least they're going to be about 2,652, and if we're going to have a basement there, then we're going to be more, probably it's going to be about 3,500 square feet. And the starting price for that, we are looking forward to have it around $450. And then we have, and this is how they're going to look like. All right, this is the current existing home in what we have over there. So just to give you the feel, but we are going to have even much better quality. They're going to have more and more, of course, with the help of Eric here, and of course, to keep us straight here, Terry, to make sure we're going to do a good job over there. Now, when it comes to the cottages over here, that's really a vision, has been really born and created by my friend Eric here. He's going to talk about it. He said, Marty, I have been in Powder Spring, and there's a community called McConnell Green Subdivision, and I would like please to have there, because we do not have ranches. We need to have houses with ranches. People getting old. I told him, welcome to the club, because I just turned 60. And I will build my home over there. And he said, please make sure you're going to build me a house over there. So that's what we have in mind. And then we're going to have them around 300, 350. So again, good, honest to God, good houses we're going to build over there. And these pictures over here are from the same community in Powder Spring, and they're selling them for $400,000, $450,000. All right, so probably we're going to manage to sell them a bit cheaper. And we're going to have what? A dog park over there. That's what they have over there. So just to bring it to show you. And these cottages, they're going to have 3, 4 bedrooms. I mean, they're not going to be tiny one. They're going to be the same as what we already have. And let's just go ahead and briefly to share with you. This is what we already have. I have 64 lots we're building there. You see the red dots there, the red lines, and we're going to connect it with a new development for 114 acres. And hey, we have a beautiful clubhouse, and thank you, Eric, and thanks for the HOA. They just resurfaced the tennis court. Look how they're beautiful. You see they're in blue. And then, you see, this is the bottom line. I would like you please to focus. We are really putting in mind here to have mindful design. We are going to maintain the green. All right, we're going to, continue to use the construction method that is going to, to help us for preservation of undeveloped green space, and this is in line to what, Madam Mayor mentioned earlier. We have to have more trees, and this is going to save more than about 3,000, 4,000 trees. And these are existing trees, and they're already giving us oxygen. They're already taking a lot of carbon monoxide from the air. So we're going to maintain that. We're going to do minimal land disturbance, and we're going to have friendly environmental materials, and then we have contemporary design and finishes, and we're going to provide more functional amenities for families and individuals. Just to share that with you, this is what we have in mind to put over there, and we're going to have a walking trail where they can get people to have bicycles, to cycle around, and to enjoy it. And this is the team that will be helping with us. We have Andrew Wallace. He owns Buildsol. He has all, at any moment of time, he's in charge of over $200 million of development and construction. That's something to know about me. I was in charge of putting the fiber optics in this country. I connected America with Mexico and Canada. I'm the one who replaced copper into fiber for AT&T. I worked for them for 30 years. Once upon a time, I managed over $20 billion project at the same time. So we have the experience. As we speak, I'm also developing another subdivision at the end of Lake Monroe in Douglas County, and also starting next month, I'm developing another subdivision in Timble, Carroll County, 140 lot. And I developed more than a dozen. My brother Had, you probably heard about him, and we built over thousands of homes here. So we are not new into this business. I'm a civil engineer. I'm a professional licensed engineer, contractors, and we love this. We love dirt. We love to make sure that these houses are going to be taken care of. These are our builders that they're going to help us to build, and these are the real estate marketing, the project management. At the end, I don't want to take much time from your time. We are here to partner with the HOA, and probably Terry Miller, again, keep mentioning his name. He tell you how many times we reach out to him in case we need any help. And also Eric Curry, and we have been working with them. And also to Douglasville to create the optimum level environment for families and individuals at Brookmont. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, sir.
Because I have only 20 minutes, and there's a lot.
You are close. You're close. Really close. How much time do we have, please?
We have 6 minutes and 48 seconds for people who may want to speak in favor of, but you all, of course, have
Thank
time
you.
for your question and
All right.
answers.
Are there any questions or comments council or Madam Mayor may have? Yes, Madam Mayor.
Not a question, just a comment. Mr. Al Hussein Salim, I think you thought of everything that we can think of. It was a very comprehensive presentation. We're excited to hear it this evening. We appreciate you coming in this evening.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Others?
Appreciate it.
Yes, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So many cul-de-sacs.
Huh? I didn't count them.
So, I count 8 at least. Is there any way you can reduce the number of cul-de-sacs in this?
Well, the good news is, the fire marshals gave us some comment and we expanded them.
They like cul-de-sacs.
Do we
made
have
them
any,
larger. And the other limitation we have because of the rocks and the slopes.
I'm sorry?
The rocks
It's a lot of room.
and the slopes,
Uh-huh.
and I would be more than happy to take it over there.
I'm seeing just a number of areas where you could easily connect the streets to make them, again, to make it more of a neighborhood and make it more of a, give a little bit more pedestrian connectivity from one side of the neighborhood to the other. You still have, it's still a contained neighborhood, but I just see a number of opportunities where you wouldn't lose much green space at all, and you really wouldn't lose many lots at all if you just connected some of those streets. I do have a question for staff. Is there anything in the UDO that does limit what's the maximum length of a dead-end street that you can have? Because that spine street that goes, that's a long street. I don't know if there is something, is there a provision within the UDO that?
So forgive me, because that would be in your development regs. I cannot say yes to that yet, but I can definitely find out
Okay,
what that
yeah, if we
requires.
could find out about that. I'm just curious if that's something that's ever. been-
Mr. Miller, I would think that the reason you see the bubbles in that spine street there that you're calling is that you have to have a cul-de-sac for turnaround of emergency vehicles ever so many feet.
No, I understand.
But I don't know that there's a limitation or a maximum.
I'd be curious to know if there was
Sure.
if something had been written into the zoning at any point. But that's about all, I mean, I appreciate.
You're welcome, but again, we already communicated with the fire marshals.
Yeah, I know,
They gave us
this is
some
not a fire marshal issue. I'm not bringing up, I'm bringing up a planning issue, that's all.
Perfect.
Others?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Hi, thank you, Mr. Salim. I am Councilwoman LaShonda Danley, and that is my ward where, I share the ward with Councilman Davis. And we definitely need, in that area, a facelift. So what you've presented is awesome. I would definitely like to see more collaboration with some residents or small businesses over there too, because we have houses, and I know we need affordable housing, but in the New Horizon area where I serve, in Councilman Davis, there's no access to like fresh vegetables, fresh food. So within this, a community garden would be really
Yes,
nice. So I
indeed, we
really
will.
would like to, if this is
Yes.
passed, to work with you on that, because we can have houses and houses and houses and affordable, but if our children and our seniors or just people in general cannot have access, like walking to fresh fruits, and that impacts learning and everything. So I definitely would like to work on that.
We'll be more than happy. We have
Thank you.
65 acres.
Dr. Berdanley, I beg to differ. I don't believe this is in your ward.
Oh, it's Elsie Street?
No, this is south of I-20
Oh,
down
I'm
Chapel
sorry.
Hill Road.
I'm sorry, one before. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
that's okay.
But still.
It's okay.
It's the next one, I'm sorry.
But-
Point taken.
Point
Thank you.
taken.
Point taken. We
He
understand.
listened, and he said yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I still said yes, yes.
Yes.
Coach Watts, did you have a
Thank
comment
you.
or
Coach Watts
question?
Ward.
Yes, Coach Wadsworth.
You stated 65 acres will be undisturbed green space?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Right here.
And you did say that y'all were going to donate it or deed it
Deed it.
to the HOA?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. I like that.
HOA president sitting right there.
Okay. It being a public hearing, we do have to give opportunity for those to speak that would like to speak either for or against. Thank you for your
Thank you, Mark.
presentation. Is there anyone here that would like to do
Thank you
just
very
that?
much.
Please come forward. Let us know your name and address for the record, and then whether you're speaking either for or against, please.
I'm going to be for it.
How much time do we have, ladies?
6 minutes and 48 seconds.
All righty.
I ain't going to be that long.
Dougie Fresh.
Thank you. Oric Curry. I live at 18 Brook Hollow Drive in Douglasville, Georgia. I'm the HOA president there. And what I want to say is I've been there since 2000. Became the president. I take that back. In 2008, I was there. I became the president in 2017. And I've seen where it's changing. What we're trying to make it is a viable community. Actually, we had developers come in. They made promises to the previous boards, and some board members just was on the board but didn't do anything. I'm very active. I'm very into the seeing what's going on in my board and committee chairs that we have, or looking at some of the things that's going on. And this is why we have changed so many times, because it was set up to be one thing, and then we want to make sure that it had affordable housing for the people who would be in the community, and also looking at the school system as well. I'm a part of Leadership Douglas, and actually one of my classmates is the superintendent, Trent North, which is, you know, as you all know, he's going up for being the superintendent of the year. So we have talked about that. We have also talked about how we can look at this community and make it better. We're hitting on the backside. Most people don't see us off of Chapel Hill, off Beaumar, and off Pope Road. But we have 6 villages inside of the villages of Brookmont, where we have the estate homes, we have the cottages, we have the reserves, we have the meadows, we have the landings, and we have the enclaves, which are the townhomes, which are most of our, and we're unique because our subdivision sits in between the city and the county. So I'm also on the county side. I live on the county side, but most of our residents we do have live in the city of Douglasville as well. So we're working on this, and we will take that into consideration we had talked about that as having a green space or something where we can grow vegetables inside of that. We were actually deeded another 10 acres of land by somebody who didn't want to develop it because of those rocks that everybody that we have here in Douglasville. So we're going to look at that and seeing where we can develop things of that, and we really appreciate that, giving some ideas. That's why we came up with the doggy park, the walking trails. I'm an avid cyclist, so we're going to look at doing some cycling events there. We work closely with the police department and the sheriff's department because we have a neighborhood watch. So we want to just make sure that this is hidden and we have the viable houses that we need in the community. And we really appreciate you if you would take this into consideration. And so you'll be seeing my face more than once in and out of here. And I would definitely look forward to seeing you, Coach, and have you come out, as well as the mayor, come out and look at some of the development that we're having inside the villages of Brookmont. And I think there's more civic leaders should do that, see what's going on in your community with your HOAs, because sometimes these HOAs can get out of hand. And I think that when you work with the community versus being against the community and work with the residents that's inside the community, it's much better. Thank you, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Curry. Anyone else?
Chairman, can I make a comment too? Thank you. Yes, I was looking at the item next to this one, so I apologize, it is in your ward. But I want to say, Mayor Pro Tem mentioned the cul-de-sacs, and just thinking about what you just mentioned, that your community is very unique, because you can actually get into the subdivision from Chapel Hill as well as Pope. So you can drive through that subdivision and get from one side to the other, which is really good.
And Beaumar.
And Beaumar, that's right.
Beaumar.
Right.
And that's been we have so many entry points that we getting ready to put flocks up because we having such people that love to come through that area, and they speed and do other things. So we gotta try to keep this, the safety. And like I said, we work along with the police department and the sheriff's department because we both split in the middle.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate those comments. Others? Anyone else that would like to make a public comment either for or against? We're running against the clock now, so anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, then we'll close that portion of the public hearing. We'll take this item up on Monday for a vote concerning it. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on then to item F, as in Frank. I don't know how we got so many public hearings at one meeting. Staff. Hold a public hearing and consider request for a change in zoning from R2 Single Family Detached Residential to PRD Planned Residential Development District for 1.9 acres located at 6470 Elsie Street, Land Lot 19, District 1, Section 5, parcels 001901-50013, application by Sheraton Jones.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Reed.
Yes, sir. As mentioned, Elsie Street is requesting to have, or the parcel on Elsie Street is requesting to have a rezoning for this item. As mentioned, Sheraton Jones is the applicant and requesting to develop quadplex or quadruplex at this particular location. The property is currently zoned R2. They're for 1.9 acres. And the applicant is asking to rezone to PRD, which is Planned Residential Development Districts, and it does allow for multifamily within the PRD zoning classification. This is the current site of this particular. The structure did have some fire damage, and it's still left vacant as of current right now. The zoning near this parcel to the the west and the south is zoned R2, which is the same as what currently zoned now for R2. The property to the, I said it wrong way, the west and the south, I'm sorry, is R2, and then the east is industrial, and then the northern piece, as you're seeing, the larger parcels to the south, to the north is zoned PUD. This particular land use of traditional residential outlines where the parcels shown here in south, and I guess to the west of that is residential, where it's more of an older community, where it's, as the code says, outdates, where it has maybe some homes built around World War II, some of that in age, so it's some of what older community. So we identify that to be a traditional residential. I will say that PRD is outlined as R6. As you're seeing on the screen now, R6 is an allowed use. That particular zoning classification changed during the time of our updated code of 2019. PRD replaced the R6 zoning classification for apartments and multifamily. With that, staff has found that the parcel only has 1.9 acres. The intent of your zoning classification requires 2.0. That is to allow for the development to have the full opportunity of development. And being that the parcel is zoned R2, with surrounding parcels to the south and west, as mentioned, are all R2. With that, staff is asking for this request not to move forward. Because of that, we're asking for the intent to be considered of the particular zoning classification of PRD to be considered in your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Is the applicant here?
She is.
If so, would the applicant come forward? We do have the time, our timer is set, and we would love to hear the information concerning your application. Ma'am, give us your name and address for the record.
Absolutely. Sheraton Jones, 8038 Colquitt Street, Douglasville, Georgia.
How are you this evening?
Alrighty, first of all, thank you very much for having me. My name is Sheraton Jones, as mentioned. I'm in Ward 3, I live in Ward 3, and this is the property that sits in Ward 3. It's actually a 5-minute walk uphill. It would be 3 minutes if it wasn't for that hill, right around the corner, so this is part of my community. I was also part of the Dose of Douglasville program. I see Assistant City Manager right there who ran that, and really actually that encouraged me to stand in front of you and do this rezoning here. I also have my bachelor's and master's degree. I only share that with you because I want you to know I do my very best to try to complete the work that I begin and give my best effort, which has been shown previously there. So as you see above here, this is the current state right now. As mentioned, it's vacant, and from my research, it's been vacant at least 7 years or so. It's currently a dumping zone. So we're talking mattresses, tires, and you're sitting on 1.9 acres of land, and around the property is multifamily. So this will blend well. So today I'm asking for rezoning of R2 to PRD. So here I have some pictures, first starting off with me standing on Colquitt Street, the street that I actually live on, as well as LC Street. So on that street is 2 duplexes alongside 3 4 units. You move on to that next picture, that's gonna show that the end of that last 4 unit, which sits on Colquitt Street and LC Street. And then across is the church. You make your way down that road on LC Street, you're going to see 4 townhomes to your left and 4 townhomes to your right. And then the last picture there is where the house sits. So the house is actually very surprising to see because of all the multifamily that's surrounding the area. Additionally, if you're familiar with this area, this is a 20-minute walk from downtown Douglasville. And as we know, the expansion of the future town green is happening, so we could expect more residents to possibly move into the area. And then we also know that Jesse Davis, which is right around the way, is also getting work upgraded. So we see upgrades happening at the park, and then we see upgrades happening at the downtown Douglasville area, in the New Horizon community, which has been lesser developed, this opportunity here lies. Here I pulled from the GIS tool, and what this is showing is flags where 4 units are sitting. So we see in the past that 4 units do not need that much acreage as presented before. Actually, which I'll do here in the next picture, the site plan, you'll see how much land is available for this 4 unit. So here's my site plan, and that's the 4-plex proposed right now with the parking. Of course, I had to speak with the fire, the building permits, and so forth, and they've all agreed that everything looks in line here. Again, the goal to rezone to PRD, providing additional housing. Right now, sitting as a single family, taxes are less, but with additional units, taxes will be increasing, which will help out our roads. We've already seen that happen with Colquitt Street, with the repaving there. And then additionally, I have here just some renderings of 2 units, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, roommate style. As we start to bring in businesses, we also want to keep in a mixed range of residents. So having that roommate style living is where we see would be great. I want to jump here into the supporting details. And I want to pull from the mission statement, actually, from the City of Douglasville Community Development Department. Want to emphasize on the continue to foster smart and innovative growth in the community. That's what the city has mentioned the development team is going to do, and this is exactly where it falls in line. Lastly, on this slide here, I want to go down to the Douglasville Housing Assessment, page 63, which was written in 2021, and it was just discussing how many bedrooms we are short. So in 2 bedrooms, we are 260 to 880 short. In conclusion, also pulled from the Douglasville Housing Assessment that was written, we discussed about the missing middle housing. And the missing middle housing includes the duplexes, the 4 units, the triplexes, and that's where this project lies. The Douglasville Housing Assessment also shows that we have plenty of large family homes, single families, but we're missing that missing middle. And then lastly, just here, the community vision. The community vision, I want to emphasize on that last number 3 right there where it says, rezone and add zoning categories that allow for smaller residential lots to improve the mix of housing options. This is, I guess, considered smaller because it's not meeting that 2 acre, but in the community vision, we've mentioned that we want to rezone and add zoning categories to allow for smaller residential lots. And so I'm asking you to do that today. I want to say thank you very much, especially to the development team. We've spent a good bit of time working on this, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Are there questions of the applicant? Ms. Jones? Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Ladies first.
Davis?
Thank you.
Go ahead, Dr. Burdell.
Wow, I'm so proud of you. You did well. Thank you. And so let me just make the record straight. This is in my ward, okay? So I just want to say I'm very proud of you because it's going to take individuals such as yourself, along with the community and your council members, to blend and bring up the area in certain areas in this community. So this is to get rid of the house that looks like that now is going to be awesome. So I'm real proud of you, and I hope that, you know, if this passes, that this will not be your last journey of improving the area. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, again, I want to thank you for our conversation, and I've been down and taking a look at it, and I really appreciate what you're getting about ready to do. And welcome to the north side again. You know where I'm located. Thanks.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. It's good to see you again, Ms. Jones. You're not at Red Velvet?
No.
Okay.
My time isn't there. Got to
Yes.
work on this project.
Oh, okay. Well, it's good to see you. And I had a question for staff or for, I don't know, I'm not certain. I know this would have to, would this be a variance since it's not 2 acres and 1.9?
I just sent the message over to our chairman, I think the applicant is aware that her request actually does not meet the requirements of the UDO. One of the things, and this is to the applicant, I appreciate you coming forward. I think sometimes citizens may not necessarily be aware that the UDO is actually law. So there are specifications around variances and how they can be applied. What I would, suggest to the chairman and to the elected officials after they are done asking their questions, if we could work with the applicant to look for a zoning that would be appropriate for the property that she has. Because what is being requested is not allowed per your ordinance, nor is she eligible for a variance. So in order for you all to, if you take action on this, you're actually violating your own law. And there's not a path to move forward for her. But we would like to work with her to achieve something that can work with what she has. That would be my suggestion.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Madam City Manager, and I did not look, I don't look at my text normally that often during the meeting because you all have me too busy. Also, there would be a possibility, possibly I would assume, to maybe add property to this piece of property in order to enlarge it by that 1/10 of an acre if possible. I don't know if you've tried that. I don't know if you've looked at that. But I do admire your attempts to make it work. My question would be, all other things being equal, if there were 2 acres here, which obviously there's not, so we got to make a decision on that. But are all of the other requirements as far as the size of the units, the sewer availability, you're going from 1 home on sewer to 4, capacity as far as sewer is available, is all of that in line?
So, yes, your development team reviewed the product that she provided, and there were no comments or issues provided with the development that she shared.
Okay. Before we go forward, let's see if there's any other questions. We understand that Madam City Manager and Ms. Reed have informed us of the dilemma that we have, and so maybe we can find a way to work to see an improvement in that community, as you have mentioned, Dr. Berdanley, and get rid of something that is rather unsightly and not being of any use. Other questions or comments?
Just one question. Have you had conversation with the Reverend Brown at Second Baptist?
I have, yes.
Okay. So we'll just talk later.
I just have a quick comment. So when I did read the ordinances, unfortunately, all besides, I believe, R5 call for 2 acres.
Okay. Then it seems as though we're limited, we limit ourselves much more as to what we're able to do then. Let's go ahead and continue our public hearing because we have advertised for it, and give anyone else that may have, would like to speak concerning it, either for or against, and we'll complete the public hearing. Thank you very much. Anyone here that would come to speak tonight? Yes, please come forward. Give us your name and address for the record and speak on whether you would be in favor of or against this item, please.
Yes, hello. My name is Tracy Roberts, and I live at 1267 Winford Colony Southwest in Marietta. And first, I just want to say thank you, Madam Mayor and distinguished council members, for allowing me to speak. I know this is part of the process, but I've never done this before, so I'm a little nervous. But anyway. Also, I want to let you know, today is my birthday, actually.
Happy birthday.
I'm serious, thank you. But I'm just saying that, and thank you, but just to let you know that I'm actually not out celebrating my birthday. I'm here speaking to you, and so that hopefully says something. I wanted to be here with you because I am actually the owner of this property on LC Street. So I thought you'd like to hear how this came to be as you consider this rezoning request. And I confess I don't understand all the complexities about the variances and the UDO and all that. So I know that's an issue to be worked out. But so here's what happened. I bought this property because I've known Sheraton Jones for several years, and I believe in what she's doing. And every day we hear about how we need more housing, not just in Douglasville, but everywhere. I mean, we hear about that all in the news everywhere. And here she is with a great plan, and she's wanting to do something about this issue with a derelict property, which is bringing the neighborhood down. It's right down the street from her, and you can see from her eloquent presentation how buttoned up she is and how much she cares and how much work she's already done. So I know you already know that. But so when she first told me about this, she found the owners, she found out they wanted to sell, she got to work figuring out plans, which you've seen, figured out her construction loan, but the loan product required that it be rezoned at the time of purchase. And so that's where the wrinkle came in, but the previous owners didn't want to wait for the lengthy process of doing the rezoning. So that's when I came on the scene. I'm not a wealthy person, I promise you that. I was actually a professional ballet dancer in my early years, so I'm like a starving artist originally from my career. So anyway, I found a way to buy it last year to give Sheraton the time to go through this lengthy rezoning process. And then when this is done, she's going to buy it back for me, and then she's going to continue on, hopefully, with her plans. So I just think also, maybe some of you know this from knowing the neighborhood, I think that was mentioned, that, this property has actually changed hands several times since it burned years ago, and each time it seems like the owner just held it, and then they were waiting to resell it again a few years later to make a little money on it, and doing nothing really to improve it, just leaving it a derelict property there, burned down house. And so it's just continued to bring the neighborhood down, and I could see that. But I could be one of those people too. Like, people are calling me, people are sending me letters saying, hey, we want to buy this property on Elsie Street in Douglasville. And I'm sure they're probably going to just do the same thing, just hold it and then wait for it to appreciate and then try to resell it again. So, but, that's just continuing a downward spiral. But Sheraton and I are not going to let that happen. We are trying to break that cycle, and she's going to create some beautiful new housing and turn this property around. That is our hope. So that's why I'm here, just to show my support and to give you some background on this property, which I think is probably a little unusual. I mean, we are just like two women. We're not big companies or anything. So I just hope you'll come together and find a way, be creative, and find a way to support this rezoning to whatever number it needs to be to work it out. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have 35 seconds. Is there anyone else that would like to speak concerning this item, either for or against? Seeing none, then we will close that portion of the public hearing, and I'm assuming then that we will, between now and Monday, we will reach out to the applicant, have staff talk with them, and see what would be the best course of action to go forward on that at that time. Okay? Thank you all. Item G, hold a public hearing. Gee, imagine that. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for change in zoning from PUD, Plan Unit Development District, to PUD, Plan Unit Development District, 11.77 acres located 7125 West Strickland Street, Land Lot 193, District 2, Section 5, Parcel 0193025A004. Application by Casey Hart and Sean Bennett. Ms. Reed?
Yes, sir. As mentioned, this is a request for rezoning at West Strickland Street. The applicants, Casey Hart and Sean Bennett, are requesting to develop a 91-unit townhome community. They're requesting to rezone the 11.77 acres from PUD with a required country club construction to PUD without a required country club construction. Sorry, I got tongue-tied. So with that, this is the structure. As you can see, this is a venue that has been used before over a few years. That structure is still there and will remain as this development is taking place to the corners and rear of it. And the applicant will explain more about the usage of that after the rezoning if granted. Currently, the property is on PUD. The surrounding parcels are PUD, R3, and GC. GC, of course, is general commercial. And they have a traditional residential future land use, and this does in fact meet that requirement for future land use. With that, staff is recommending 4 conditions should you approve these particular requests. That would be staggered front housing for the townhomes of 3 feet, provide a turnaround area at a dead end, provide the turnaround at the end of each dead end, and then all townhome units to be protected by sprinklers, and then at the westbound exiting the site to have a right turning deceleration lane to be installed. Staff created these conditions with partnership of the fire marshal, and with that, staff is recommending approval to allow for these conditions to move forward.
Thank you, Ms. Reed.
Thank you, sir.
The applicant, please come forward. If you're present here, we'd love to hear from you. We'll set the timer to get started. Give us your name and address for the record. Thank you for your patience tonight.
Good evening. My name is Michelle McCauley. I work with Gaston's LaCroix. We're located at 3475 Corporate Way in Duluth, Georgia. It's my pleasure to be before you tonight. As Shayla mentioned, we are here tonight requesting a rezoning for the subject property from PUD to PUD for the purpose of concept plan approval for the development of 91 single-family townhomes and the use of the existing historic home for office. In addition to the rezoning request, my clients are requesting to remove the special use permit for a country club that was approved back in 2005. Here is an aerial image of the property. It is 11.77 acres, as mentioned, on West Strickland Street, and is currently developed with an event center in the existing historic home. The property is just west of the downtown district and is in the immediate vicinity of several subdivisions, including Braylon Manor to the rear, Ashley Falls to the west, and Rosewood to the south. As Shayla mentioned, here is the zoning for the piece of property. It's currently zoned PUD, as with the adjoining apartments, R3 to the rear, GC to the front, and the R2 and CSC. Also, as mentioned by Ms. Reed, this is the future land use. The property is shown as traditional neighborhood future land use, which encourages smaller residential lots. Here is the historic home on the property. It's known as Rosalie Manor. The intent is to maintain this historic home. It will be donated to Share House. A representative was available during the Planning Commission meeting to speak to their future use of the property. Unfortunately, due to illness, they were not able to be here tonight to explain. Occupy this building. If this property is rezoned, it will be donated to them, and then they will operate it for board meetings and things of that nature. And I'll show that more clearly on our site plan as we go to the next slide. So here is the site plan that we're showing. This shows the townhomes in gray. This is 91 single-family townhomes at a density of 10 units to the acre. The blue is the stormwater facility and the roads, which are not allowed to be included in the calculation of this PUD. Open space is shown in green. We meet the 30% requirement for the density bonus. And in yellow, this is the property that's going to be donated to the Share House. So here's the existing home now, and there is the existing driveway. There will be a new driveway added for the townhomes here, just to the east of the site. This represents just over 1 acre in donation to the Share House, which is a nonprofit. Staff has recommended approval of our project with 4 conditions. As mentioned earlier, it is our position that our concept plan as shown meets all of these conditions, and we accept them and ask for your approval.
Thank you very much. Question.
Sure.
The property on the left front quadrant, that is the area that is the family cemetery, is that correct?
That's correct.
Has it been removed from the plat?
It was not a part of the property.
Was never a
Yeah,
part
it's
of the
separate
property.
part. I think the city actually owns
Okay.
that.
Okay, I wanted to make sure
cemetery.
that had been taken into consideration.
Correct.
Okay. I'll open the floor, starting with Coach Watts for questions.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I was curious, there's 91 units? Is that
That's
what-
correct, 91 units.
Will these be, like, for sale or
For sale
rented?
townhomes.
For sale
For sale
townhomes.
townhomes, single-family attached product.
Great, okay, thank you.
Others?
That's it.
Yes, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Clarification, the cemetery, is it the area on this map that's shown in green?
No,
Or is
it's
it the
right
gray?
here.
Gray.
The gray, adjacent, it's sort of the jagged property
That's
that
correct.
butts up
Right, so
against
there's an
it.
existing property here, and then that cemetery, I believe, sits right here.
Okay.
And is owned, as I believe it's owned by the city.
Okay.
It was
So
donated to the
then-
city.
My question is, why didn't you just simply bring that street all the way down to Strickland? Why does it dead end that way?
Well, really, two reasons. The primary reason is for open space. In order to get the density that is required to make the project feasible, we have to have 30% open space. And
That
so
would take away, that would put you
we're
under?
not able to count this donation piece, so that's the reason for that. And also, as much as possible, to try to protect that view shed from West Strickland. It's a beautiful entrance. So by doing this allows, so this will all be an amenity to these homeowners. There is an amenity here as part of the community, but this is envisioned to be sort of a park-like setting for those future residents. So this is all amenity for the community, and then the share house will be something separate, and there will be fencing here to sort of separate that use.
I guess I appreciate the explanation, but you're still have, it's an amenity that's surrounded by 90 townhouses. You know,
That's correct, yeah, I mean, but it meets the intent of, providing for open space and having a density bonus, which
And
is
you
in your
said
code.
you can't include the share house donation as part of that 30%, is that what you said?
Correct, that is not.
So what is your percentage right now based on what you've got there?
What's our open space percentage? It's right there, 30.5,
I can't read, it's too small on ours.
right here. Small numbers, I
It's
looked it up, I did the math.
It's pixelated on ours, so we can't read it.
3.59 acres of the 11.78 is open space.
What was that again?
3.59,
Out of 11?
11.78 acres is
Math,
is our
what does
open
that
space.
number come to?
30.5%,
30,
30.5.
so you're
I have it in
just
square
right at
feet.
it.
What?
You're just right at it, is that what you're saying?
We are just at it,
Okay.
correct.
All right, thank you.
Other questions, comments? One question that I had, I'm assuming then that all of the green space would be placed under the control of homeowners associations, so it would be maintained by a
Yes,
homeowners
that's correct.
association?
Yes, there will be a mandatory homeowners association, and they will own the open space.
Okay, okay. Yes, Mr. Davis, go ahead.
Yes, thanks again. That's on the New Horizon District, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And I like the fact that they're saving the old Huffine house. You and I know whose house that
Yes,
used to
sir.
be.
That's correct.
And you actually donated it to the Shear House.
That's correct.
Are they excited?
Oh, yeah, they're super excited about it, and I apologize that they weren't able to be here tonight. They made a presentation and spoke at the planning commission meeting, yes.
I'm a request for them to come in and tell me how excited they are.
Will they plan on being here on
Well, it's
Monday
a part
night?
of the public record from the planning commission meeting, but, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Will they plan on being here on Monday, or are you aware?
We will make sure that, I mean, if it's possible, we will
Sure,
ask them to be
sure, I
here, yes.
understand.
They were supposed to be here tonight.
Okay. Other questions, comments?
I'm not finished, not yet.
I'm sorry, Mr. Davis, I'm just trying to run against the clock here. You don't realize how long we've been.
The clock, let it
Go
run,
ahead.
let it tick.
Go ahead.
Let it tick. This is going on New Horizon. Will all this be gated?
This will
Gated
be
community?
these streets will not be gated, no. This will be a public street.
Okay. All right, so we'll throw a little paint and a little fix-up for the donated house too, right? Can we put a little paint on it and spruce it up?
I can't speak to the future builder or developer, whether that'll be part of their agreement. There will be a development agreement between the two entities, but that's not been drafted yet.
Okay, good. That's all I have.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Okay, it being a public hearing, we do need to give opportunity for anyone that would like to speak either for or against the project. Please come forward, give us your name and address for the record. Anyone? Seeing none, thank you for your presentation. We'll close that portion of the public hearing. If there are no other comments or questions, we'll move on to the next item.
Yes, I'm
Councilmember
sorry.
Bradley.
Oh, I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Chairman.
Dr.
I
Bradley.
stepped out for a moment. I do apologize. So, these are again in Ward 3. Thank you so much. So these are townhomes
Yes, that's correct. They're
for
townhomes.
sale?
For sale townhomes, yes.
Okay. for sale. So hopefully we can talk to you too about a great community garden, things of that nature in our ward, or just to help with the economic development, not asking you to do anything extra, but just, there are apartments
To the east?
to the east, right.
Correct.
So these will be for sale, which is interesting. And I won't make any comments in regards to the share house, but thank you for your presentation.
Oh, thank you.
One more time then. Anyone else? Thank you very much. We will take this up on Monday. Last item. Item H. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for change in zoning from GC General Commercial to Light Industrial District for .51 acres located on Veterans Memorial Highway, land lot 824, District 18, Section 2, parcels 08-241-820028 and 08-241-820029. Application by Brannan Development Company, care of Arthur Brannan. Ms. Reed?
Thank you. We've made it to the 9th hour. We're ready. Okay, so the Brennan Development is requesting to have an industrial warehouse development. You may recall they have come before you in the last few months to have the same zoning in the same zoning classification. There were some things that council asked of them in regards to how the building will be situated, as well as how it will protect the residential structures. So they are purchasing this property to ensure that those things that were asked will be provided for this site. With that being said, the development, this is the current site that they are purchasing to further the development that they have, as mentioned on Veterans Memorial Highway. The zoning is general commercial and light industrial in the nearby parcels. We have not changed our zoning map yet, but that larger parcel that you're seeing is the industrial piece that we have changed recently. So the parcel does have an industrial piece that will abut it. We do have a mixed-use design for the future land use, and as you see here with LI is an allowed use for the mixed-use design. These are the same conditions that we requested for the last development, and we're asking for this to be the same for this site to make it, partner with how the development will be outlined once developed. Of course, we're asking for the 50-foot natural buffer to be placed, and we're asking for there to be natural buffers, and then the width between there to be 50 feet or greater to allow for an opaque visual screen, asking for a natural buffer as well for such vegetation as mentioned with evergreen shrubs. So with that being said, that will give the protection that we're looking for the surrounding residential parcels. With that, staff recommended approval, and so does your planning commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Come forward, sir. How are you tonight?
Good, thank you.
Name and address for the record, please, sir. I assume you're Mr. Brannan.
I am Mr. Arthur Brannan, 2341 DeForest Ferry Road in Atlanta, Georgia. And we were here a few months ago and were able to get the rezoning for the light industrial. And some of the comments we received at that time from City Council were to make the building appear really nice along the street, wanted great appearance. We also had received concern from you about, screening the truck area. This half acre kind of gives us enough room to rotate the site. So this is the original proposed building without the here. And if you look at it, you front of the buildings over here, we were going to do a nice side, and we were going to screen this truck court. We had two entrances. We had the 50-foot buffer back here, but by buying the half acre, we could rotate the building and kick it over this way, have one entrance, have a truck court in the back, we have a bigger green space in the back, and then we have a more attractive front of the building. So we also wanted to get that half acre because we have to tie in the sewer that's over there. So that was the first thought we had is, and we still have other easements we're still working as deep as this building. But at least we're gonna have frontage along Veterans Memorial Parkway with truck points in the back. We have a bigger green space down here. So it really just improved everything, all the concerns that the city council had. So we think this is gonna be a big positive for our development.
Thank you, Mr. Brandon. You also are removing then that half acre, I believe at present houses an aged, not operating small car wash. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So you're removing that and including it in your development plan?
Sorry.
Okay. Questions, comments, anyone? I think we've worn you down. You've gotten mighty quiet.
It's an improvement. Thank you.
Yes, that's
for making
correct,
those
Madam Mayor.
improvements.
Any questions, any comments?
Yeah, what was the drop-off from this
Yeah.
Veterans Memorial down to the?
Yeah, there is a drop-off going to the back, and that kind of lend itself also to having the building face veterans, because the 4-foot dock would be, I guess, parallel with veterans, and will work better with the grades that fall from
What is the drop from?
veterans to the back. So
What's the drop from the street down to your lot, do you know?
I think it's around,
Looks like 20 feet,
it's at
maybe
least
22 feet.
maybe 25 feet.
Is there a topo?
If you look on page 33,
33?
it will give you a topo.
Okay. Oh, there it is, yeah.
So having the dock there, that kind of works with the grades better
Yeah,
too.
you got it.
So that helped us.
And your building height is, what is that? Probably about the same, right?
Do you recall, Mr. Brandon, the building height overall?
We were going to raise the front of the building, I think, to screen the air conditioning units, so you wouldn't be able to see any air conditioning units. I want to say it's about 38, 40 feet
Okay.
would be the height, but because it sits down from the road.
Yes, sir.
It's
Your
only
angle.
going to be slightly higher than the road.
Yeah.
To the top of
High
it.
enough where they can't see the
So
AC.
you're gonna have to go a
Yes, sir.
little higher to screen your air conditioners, just to get them out of the view shed. Okay.
Any other comments, Madam Mayor, or any of the council? Yes, Coach Watts?
I was just wondering, will this project require a holding pond for runoff?
It does, and it's,
It's in the back.
I was
Far back.
looking at it, I thought I saw it, but I wasn't sure. if that's
Page
what-
33.
stayed in the same.
Yes,
place,
yes.
Just have more green space around it than we had on the previous area. That was on then. It was further back. You can see this line here. We're quite, we're a lot further, maybe double the distance from, it's not just a 50-foot buffer, but we now have a big green space in addition to the buffer.
Yes, sir. Okay, any other questions? It being a public hearing, once again, we seem to be running out of people, but is there anyone here that would like to speak either for or against this item? Please come forward. Seeing none, then we will close that portion of the public hearing. Mr. Brannon, we appreciate your patience and your hanging there with us, and we will take this up on Monday night. Madam Mayor, that is all that we have tonight under planning and development. Thank you very much.
Ooh-wee. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. You did an excellent job. I think I was going to take a recess, but I'll let Mr. Chairman take a recess for community development. So we can push through. Okay, heads are nodding. Public Improvement and Beautification Committee chaired by Councilmember Nicole Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do have one item that, are we going to discuss this? Is that how we're handling it? So, okay. Wasn't sure. Okay. To authorize the mayor to sign a lighting services agreement with Georgia Power Company for lighting upgrades at 6695 Church, 49 East Strickland, and 8337 Dallas Highway. Mr. Greg Roberts, do you want to come talk to us about this?
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
evening.
Greg Roberts, Public Services Department. This item is on the agenda, but I realized earlier today that there's some misinformation that was provided that, and I'll take the blame for it, having not realized that there were some miscommunication between myself and Georgia Power. So I'll try to come back with something on this, if not next round, maybe later in the month of March. But I've kind of got to back up and punt on the thing a little bit, and we'll come back and talk to you about it.
Madam Mayor, did you have a question about this before you?
No, sir. I mean, no, ma'am, I didn't. And Mr.
Okay.
Roberts, you just want, no action for now?
That's right. We'll
Okay.
just pull that agenda, so it
Okay.
won't be on there Monday night.
All right,
All
thank you
right.
very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, that's all that we had this evening.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair of Public Improvement and Beautification. We'll move on to Public Relations Committee, chaired by Councilmember Howard Estes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business this evening.
Thank you, sir. Public Safety Committee, chaired by Councilmember Sam Davis.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Mayor, I have one item, and I'm gonna start with item A. Hold a public hearing to consider the application for the alcoholic beverage license for the retail package sale and wine and malt beverage and spirit liquor at the following establishment. Proposed licensee J. Jalarm of Douglasville LLC, DBA Skyview Bottle Shop, located 800 Maxim Road, Suite C. Proposed agent outlet manager R.B. Patel, and required fees has been paid into the finance department. Mr. Patel, will you please come down? State your name and your.
Good evening. My
Good
name
evening.
is Arpit Patel. My address is 470 Manor Oak Lane, Marietta, Georgia, 30067. I'm here tonight to request an approval for the application that has been made for retail package store located at 800 Maxim Road, Suite C, Lithia Springs.
Mr. Patel, I remember when you came in here probably about 2 or 3 years ago, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's already built and ready?
Well, I came here last year for this.
Okay. I remember when he came, Madam Mayor, remember when he came with his plan?
3 years ago, I came for Cave Springs package.
Oh, good. So you're ready. When it came up, I took a ride over on Skyview and I took a look.
Yes, sir.
I said, man, you got a masterpiece over there.
Yes, sir. It's ready
But
to
you
go.
have about 5 different businesses gonna be in there?
It's going to be a total of 4 businesses, all,
And they're gonna
including
be,
the package store.
and they're gonna be professional businesses.
Exactly. I've got several applications, but I'm just trying to consider more of franchises.
It's gonna have a
Right. So
Subway
just
or either
taking my
pizza.
time to choose the right tenant.
I really appreciate that. I think
sir.
that was one of the questions that Ms. Miller had.
Last time we came here, yes.
Good, okay. Mayor and council, Madam Mayor, first.
No, sir, I don't have anything. Welcome back. And you were going to have like a medical facility or something?
Correct. Somebody is looking into that as well for the adult care.
Okay, for adult care. Okay, thank you. I remember you. Yes, sir. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr.
Anyone
Chairman.
else? Okay, well, I tell you, we have to ride by and take a look at it.
Yes,
It
sir.
was
Anytime.
beautiful. I see you got your sign already up.
Yep.
And hopefully you get you a Subway or some major,
I hope so.
maybe a Godfather's Pizza. Okay, let's go into our public hearing. You're going to have 5 minutes for those who speak against your application, and 5 minutes for those who speak for your application. Right now, we'll take all the speak against. Come on down. See no takers. All those who speak for, come on down. Like I see no takers, we're gonna close the public hearing. And Mr. Patel, come back up. And I tell you, thank you again for that beautiful strip mall.
Yes,
It's
sir. Thank you, sir.
beautiful.
Thank you, everybody.
And we'll let you know on Monday.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you again. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Patel. We'll move on then to the next committee is Recreation, Culture, and Tourism Committee, chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
We have 2 items tonight. Item A is appoint Christian Molina, digital media designer, as the City of Douglasville's representative to serve a one-year term on the Board of Directors of the Cultural Arts Council of Douglasville/Douglas County, expiring March 1st, 2024. Ms. Jackson will handle this.
Yes, thank you, Councilman Watts. Chelsea Jackson, 6695 Church Street. Mr. Christian Molina serves as the city's digital media designer. This role for the Board of Directors for Cultural Arts Council is usually placed or served with one of our employees at the City of Douglasville. It was previously held by Ms. Haley Chapman, who was the digital media designer as well. She did leave the city about a year ago, so Mr. Christian has been there for about 8 months. He used to serve on the CAC just as a volunteer for their board, so he's very excited. He's became acclimated with the City of Douglasville, so he's very excited to start volunteering and serving on the Board of Directors on behalf of the city.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Any questions, comments? Okay. Well, I'd like to put this on the consent agenda, if that'd be all right, for Monday. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Item B, authorize the mayor to sign a letter of support for the Chattahoochee River Lands project, and Mr. Bass is going to present.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. Chris Bass, 8830 Gurley Road. The Trust for Public Land is seeking a letter of support to apply for the RAISE grant, which is a federal funded grant that would provide financial support up to $6 million to work on the component of the Chattahoochee Riverlands project that goes through the city of Atlanta, Douglas County, Douglasville, Chattahoochee Hills, and South Fulton. Mr. Walt Ray from the Trust for Public Land will be here at committee's meeting on Monday to give more details about the overall project and how it impacts the letter of support is what they need to apply for the grant that's due next week.
Thank you, Mr. Bass. Any questions or comments on this? Mayor, and then we'll go to Mayor Pro Tem after that.
Thank you. I will just say to Mr. Bassett, I'm familiar with this project. It was brought to Community Resources Committee, which I serve on ARC. So it looks like it's going to be a great project if we're able to get the resources.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you. This with the River Keepers, Chattahoochee River Keepers as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If anybody hasn't had a chance to look at that map that's part of your supplement, and you get an idea of the extent of this project, I mean, it is pretty remarkable. And this is, from my understanding, only a part of what the long-range plan is, which is, I think, eventually what, a Helen to Columbus Trail, which is, you know, on par with the Silver Comet. And that's a phenomenal game changer for this corridor in terms of parkland, in terms of access. People have never had that much along the river before, but it's a remarkable project, and it's going to be quite an asset to the region and to this community.
I just hope by the time it's finished, I'm still able to walk on it or ride on it. But looks like it'll be it's going to be a process. But thank you for that presentation. Anybody else have any questions or comments about this project? All right, thank you, Mr. Baston. We're going to place this on the consent agenda if that's all right with council. Madam Mayor, that's all I've got.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Bass. We appreciate that, and Ms. Jackson as well. And Mr. Christian he does a great job as well in the graphics department. We'll move on to Technology Committee, chaired by Mayor Pro Tem City Councilmember Terry Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item under the Technology Committee, and that is to authorize the mayor to sign an offer letter with Fusus Inc. for software services and hardware to provide a platform for law enforcement security camera viewing purposes. And we have Mr. Sam Jenkins and Dr. Chief Gary Sparks to help us understand this.
All right. Hello, Madam Mayor, Council. Sam Jenkins, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville. And we got all nice chief over there. But what this software here is Future Software. So this is the new way, pretty much, where law technologies. A lot of other agencies and things like that are using this the technology with the camera system to pretty much be able to like track users and also to be able to like do artificial intelligence. So they, for instance, searching for like a red car, a female with green blocks, they able to like set those parameters up. So this will pretty much give them. Not only that, this right here will give all the officer access to the cameras on their phones and also in their in their car, their mobile laptops as well. Some other feature this right here offers, it will integrate with cameras with all of our systems, but it also work with our other systems as well, like Flock. So we'll be able to integrate Flock system. We'll also be able to reach out to the community. So if the community is open to like join this system, we can like provide them an appliance or have them purchase an appliance that where the PD will be able to pretty much have access to local business and things as well. The mall, I'm sorry, Chief looked like he want to speak, but this right here pretty much just a new way of pretty much fighting crime. We're putting eyes up in the sky for the law enforcement to be able to know what's going on.
Yeah, this is a force multiplier for law enforcement technology, especially with the town green coming in, and we see all these townhomes and the growth is going on in the city of Douglasville. This camera system, this Fusus, is just what it does is take all your cameras, the cameras from the park, our Flock cameras, the cameras down at Town Green. It takes all your cameras and fuse them together. Where we'll be able to watch these cameras real time if we, when we develop a real-time crime center. It also enables the civilian, private sector and business, they can come and be a part of a registry. So if something, crime happened or something occur, we can look on the registry and see if they're a part of the registry, then they can allow us to get that footage. Since we had these Flock cameras, I tell you, it's so many violent criminals that we have arrested here in Douglasville. They didn't commit no crime here in Douglasville, but they just hit a Flock camera in Douglasville. So I think that's one good thing about this Fusus Center. We just went to Georgia Tech last week and looked at their camera system, and next week I think we're going to Atlanta and look at there. Now what Atlanta does, as Sam was talking about these boxes, it's like $600. Say for instance you go to a housing area and you want to put their cameras on and get them these boxes. Well, Atlanta used their foundation money. They took money out of the Atlanta Police Department Foundation and purchased these boxes for these citizens in these communities, which give them several more cameras. That's why you see when you see a crime occur in Atlanta, they got the footage because they got cameras everywhere. So this is one thing we want to start looking at, and we see a lot of crime happening, not so much in Douglasville, but we can see the wave, we can envision the wave of crimes happening at our gas stations. Some cities require that the gas stations have cameras, and they hook up to the Fusus Center. So when we have a crime, we have a starting point where we can go bring these people to justice. So right now, I think we have 46 Flock cameras, looking at 10 more, so we're looking at maybe 56 Flock cameras, and I think Sam had like 300.
Yep, we had 320 cameras throughout the city, with additional coming for Town Green. We have like 30 plus coming for Town Green. So total here in the city, we got a total of like near 400 cameras already.
Right, and what we want, what will be vital is when you get to Town Green, you want cameras all up and down the street, the side streets, front street. We got a plan for that now. So it's just a good system. And then, like Sam stated, you have 30 or 40 other PDs, and we can gain information from their camera systems.
Okay.
So,
Sam, does this have facial recognition software?
Well, a lot of camera systems don't pretty much advertise facial recognition because still got to go upstairs to the Fed and things like that. But this does have some artificial intelligence where you can pretty much lock in on people and pretty much trace them on different cameras. So for instance, if someone is on a Church Street and we lock in on that person right there and they go over to another street, that same person can pretty much be identified.
Yeah.
Same thing with vehicles.
Yeah, you have a concert or something down there at Town Green, and somebody is just doing something crazy, and you could put that data into the system. So Town Green concert is over with, but you have something up here on the corner up here at the plaza. Something, you have something of you, and we're looking for this person, so we could put that data in, and that camera system will track them. Same thing we do with Flock. If we get a vehicle that commit an armed robbery, say for instance, and we got a type of vehicle, we can search, we can put it on the Flock. It will check vehicles in East Point.
So you can assume a direction that they're heading.
Right. So it'll start pulling up vehicles, a black vehicle, two-door, it'll start pulling them up until then we have to sit there and look at it and find our vehicle.
And not only that, with this right here, it's a network of camera of what it basically is, they're interoperable. So with other cities and things like that, like Flock, it pretty much can be shared with other cities and things like that are using it. But also, we're not locked in with like just one vendor with this camera system right here. So whoever can have whatever type of camera they choose is all pretty much bred through these appliances and things. So they pretty much all work together.
Any questions from the mayor or council or comments?
Real
Thoughts? Madam Mayor?
fast about Flock. And Chief, I'll just talk with you later to see how we can, I don't know, you said Atlanta used their foundation to help get those cameras at the homes. I've been talking about that for about 3-4 years. Because, Mayor Lightfoot in Chicago, Mayor Bowser in DC, giving those cameras to the citizens, and they would pay a portion, but they all connected to the police department.
Yeah, well, we just got our 501(c), and that's something we'll be talking with the city manager on, and we could move forward. But, Atlanta been doing this for a long time, millions of dollars in their foundation.
understand.
So, yeah, they can go and buy those, I guess they call them blocks.
Yes.
Appliances.
And they can outfit a whole community.
We're gonna work it out. But that's all I had. Thank you. Look, it's a great idea.
Thank you,
Great.
Mayor. Any other questions, comments?
Great innovation.
Coach, you look like you're about to say something.
I like it when criminals show up thinking they're outsmarting us, looking for a place to hide. And we'll run up on them every time. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Coach. Any others? Sam, at what point does the sky not become self-aware and then we need to start worrying?
Yeah, we talked about that, how pretty much
too
pretty
late.
much started taking over, right?
But I would say, we just watched the incident in Memphis. You just watched the incident in Memphis. Those guys didn't even know they had cameras. You see?
You said something at the police town hall the other day. I learned something very interesting about the body cameras that I did not know, which was that they're activated by the siren on the car.
Right, yes.
I thought that was pretty fascinating. That was really, so that's how, if anybody didn't know that already, that's how you don't have to worry about the officer remembering to turn them on. Anyway, thank you, Sam, appreciate that. If there's any objection, I'd like to put this on the consent agenda for Monday. Looks like we're consented. Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you, Madam Mayor, that's all we have under technology.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, and Mr. Jenkins and Dr. Sparks and Chief Sparks. Transportation Committee, chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Byrd-Danley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we
Yes,
have
ma'am.
any other business to come before council tonight? We got 2 minutes before we turn to a pumpkin.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to say one comment. I want to compliment our Parks and Recreation Director, Mr. Chris Bass, for doing an excellent presentation at the Arbor Station HOA meeting on
Oh,
Tuesday,
good.
discussing, he took some very tough questions about the addition of a park
said-
in Ward 1 and handled them very, very well, and very diplomatically, very professionally, and then, hats off to you. Thank you very much for that presentation. And Chief Sparks was there as well, did a great job. There were so many questions for Chris, though. Unfortunately, Chief didn't have as much time to do a presentation, but thanks to both of you for coming out to the meeting. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. We always give our staff kudos. I know the only couple of things that I was thinking about was the Unity Day the chief is going to have on Saturday. It's the second or third annual Unity Day at 10 o'clock. And we have a recycling visit that the council has been giving some information about.
I just
Yes,
wanted,
sir.
I just wanted to have a shout out for staff, all the staff. I look out here and the crowd has dwindled and all we have left is staff
know.
for the long day they've put in. Appreciate y'all and thank you, Richard, for being here also. So.
Any other business to come before council tonight from council members?
What about us? We stuck here.
I know, I'm fasting today with all this. Okay, we'll move on then to updates from city staff. Our staff attorney, Ms. Miranda Jordan.
Good evening, Madam Mayor.
Good evening.
I have no business this evening, but I do have an update on Mr. Dodson. He is ready to come back, but it'll be a little while. But he sends his regards.
Thank you so much. Send ours back to him, wishing him well. Our chief of police, Chief Sparks.
You mentioned that, Madam Mayor, we have our Unity, third annual Unity meeting Saturday from 10 to 11:30. So we have light refreshments. Come out and support the community by showing you that we're unified as one.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chief Sparks. Our city manager, bring it up.
I tried to make certain you all didn't have too long days, but we do have committees on Monday, so you'll have a long Monday.
Isn't Monday President's Day? How we have a meeting on President's Day?
We have always had a meeting on President's Day, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
It's a national holiday,
That's all I
I'm
had.
saying. Okay. Any other? Oh, Lord, any other business? It's 9 o'clock on the dot. Not hearing anything else, this meeting is adjourned. Did you have